Chapter 11 G Family's Secret Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a few perfunctory words to Xiao Chuan and Lu Jiujia, Guan walked towards his courtyard. He took out Qing Xia's travel notes from his arms and was ready to appreciate the pictures in the book. As soon as he walked to the courtyard, Yi Lan came up to him. "Elder brother, I also want to learn the Canfeng kick." Yi Lan said angrily. Guan naturally closed the travel journal and asked with a smile, "What? Your senior brother Meng refuses to teach you magic?" Yi Lan became even more angry and said aggrievedly, "Yes, he taught very perfunctorily. I got anxious and started arguing with him. As a result, he became aggressive with me, saying that he had to prepare for the external examination and had no time to talk to me. He asked me roll." Guan felt funny when he saw her cheeks bulging like balls, but he held back and did not laugh. "Since your senior brother Meng is busy, don't disturb him. Let's do this. I will personally teach you how to practice Canfeng kick at noon tomorrow. How about that?" Guan said gently. Yi Lan asked in surprise, "Why is it tomorrow?" "Senior brother, I'm tired. Please be considerate. I was pestered by your two senior brothers just now. You can ask them." Guan pointed to Xiao Chuan and Lu Jiujia in the distance and said, after saying that, he bypassed Yi Lan and walked towards his house. Yi Lan noticed the book in his hand and secretly wondered, is this Qingxia travel notes really that good? Guan went back to the room and closed the door. He lay on the bed and picked up Qing Xia's travel notes again. The reason why he likes Qingxia Travels is because it is a series of books, and a new volume will appear every 6 months. Pursuing serialized books in the world of immortality made Guan feel like he was back on Earth. He quickly became immersed in the content of the book. He seriously doubted that this book was written by a Taixuan monk, but he didn't know the author's cultivation level. However, there were no detailed records of fighting in the book, only travels and romances. Half an hour later, Guan suddenly heard movement in the house next door. Meng Lang seemed to be rolling on the ground, and his breathing was extremely confused. Did your practice get sidetracked?" Guan hesitated to go take a look, but Meng Lang stopped quickly. The kid didn't even cry out in pain. As the spiritual energy around him flowed towards his house, Guan knew that he had started practicing again. TSK, Liya has risen. Could Meng Lang also have his own adventure? "Darling, if you think about it this way, the three of them entered the Medicine Valley on the same day and became apprentices to the same person. They all have great opportunities and are a bit legendary." Guan thought about it again and felt that he had thought too much. It would be great if the boy Meng Lang could live a long life. In his opinion, once Meng Lang's temperament goes out of the valley, he will die within a short time. He cannot speak and is easily impatient. He is not like a cultivator at all. He stopped thinking about it and continued to savor Qing Xia's travel notes. Guan collects qi for 6 hours every day, basically using his sleeping time to practice. Immortal cultivators do not need to sleep. The process of receiving qi itself is a better conditioning and relaxation process than sleeping. In the remaining time, he not only read travel notes, but also other books. Qing Jindan had already passed the Baiqiao Lu to him. The Baiqiao Lu was made by Taixuan Sect and recorded all kinds of spiritual flowers and herbs in the world. Qing Jindan also made special notes on some medicinal properties. Qing Xuandan's cultivation is not good, but after living for 100 years, he is indeed well informed. This is good for people with poor qualifications. They can spend more time filling in knowledge and insights. Another year of winter snow has arrived, heavy snow is flying, and the park is covered with white snow. Guan is directing his junior brothers and junior sisters to clean up. As for Meng Lang, that guy has become possessed and has been hiding in the house practicing martial arts all day long. Now that Guan can't control him, Qing Jindan said to let him be. There are special talismans on the edge of each park that can generate heat, but these talismans have a time limit. Once they expire, heavy snow will cover the entire park in just 1 hour. Watching Xiao Chuan, Lu Jiujia, and Yi Lan busy, Guan's mind wandered. He is increasingly dissatisfied with the yield of the Medicine Valley and must open up wasteland. When this winter is over, Guan will arrange for them to go to the mountains to cut down trees and open up the soil. A sound of breaking through the air came from a distance. Guan turned around and saw a man in civilian clothes stepping on a flying sword, coming through the snow and the sky, like a sword fairy. Do ye? Guan subconsciously threw a lifespan probe at him and found that this guy's cultivation had reached the 6th level of Qi training realm. The breakthrough was a bit fast. Du Ye's arrival also attracted the attention of the 3 Xiaochuans. I saw Du Ye flying all the way to the sky near Guan. He jumped, raised his hand to put away his sword after landing, and inserted the long sword into the scabbard at his waist. The sword light shone in the white sky and earth. The whole process was smooth and smooth. Very chic. The 3 people in Ogawa's eyes stared straight at the sight. They didn't come to Taixuan Sect just to do odd jobs. They all wanted to become immortals, but they ended up in this situation because of their mediocre spiritual abilities. They all joined Yaogu waiting for an opportunity. Di looked at Guan, patted his shoulders with both hands, and said with a smile, "Yes, he has grown up completely. He is no longer the little kid who followed me around." Guan smiled and exchanged greetings with Di, but was cursing in his heart, "We are all servants, what are we pretending to be?" After going around in circles for a few times, Di just got down to business. He whispered, "How are you preparing the herbs? Fetch it with me." Guan nodded with a smile. He did save some medicinal herbs, which the great disciple of Yaogu deserved, and he planned to give them all to Du Ye. Although he can take away lifespan, this thing takes time. Before he can become completely invincible, he must establish a good relationship with the Ji family, which may come in handy in the future. No matter how strong the Chu family is, they are only powerful within the Taixuan Sect. The Ji family is different. It is the top family in the entire Taixuan dynasty. The Ji family that Guan stayed in before was just a branch of a city. Among all the immortal cultivating sects in the Taixuan dynasty, there are children of the Ji family. Along the way, Di started talking about the outer door. Liya belongs to your Yao Valley, right? He has been quite popular recently. He is a descendant of the Taixuan royal family, and he is competing with his royal brother. The two even made a life-or-death duel agreement, which caused a lot of commotion. It is said that Liya was a useless person a few years ago. By some chance, his cultivation level improved by leaps and bounds. He is now at the 2nd level of Foundation Establishment realm. Hearing Di mention Liya, Guan also became interested. How does Liya look like a fantasy hero with great suffering and deep hatred? Guan asked curiously, "Do you have to reach the foundation building level to become an outer disciple?" Di nodded and said, "That's natural. Like me, if I don't have enough cultivation, I am still a handyman in the outer sect. It's just that I stay in the outer sect city and can be exposed to these things. If you reach the foundation establishment realm, you can be directly promoted to an outer disciple. If you reach the core formation realm, you can be promoted to an inner disciple. Above the inner disciples, there are also disciples and true disciples. These are the rules on the surface. If you have great talent, you can break the rules. Our third lady is such a person. She is a disciple when she starts. She has already had the idea of becoming a true disciple. If she wants to become a true disciple, cultivation alone is not enough. She must also be able to convince the public and have enough prestige, so I waiting to pave the way for her." When Di mentioned Ji Xiaoyu, he couldn't stop talking. For the first time, Guan didn't mind his verbosity and listened carefully. The two of them entered the house, and Guan took out the baggage he had prepared while listening. Di talked for a while, then stopped. He raised his hand and said dissatisfied, "Why is this so?" Guan smiled and said, "The days are long. Cultivation as an immortal is not something that can only be done in a year or two. Rather than cross the line and be greedy and be demoted from the valley, it is better for me to stay peacefully and provide medicinal herbs all year round. I will not keep any of them. Offer." When Di heard this, his expression softened, and he asked, seriously, "What kind of herbs do I need with my qualifications? A peaceful life is what I pursue." Guan nodded. Di opened his mouth, and finally sighed. His right hand reached for the storage bag on his waist, took out a secret book and handed it to Guan. Guan took it and looked at it. It said, "Bafangbu" on it. This surprised him. has this guy discovered his conscience? Di introduced, this is the Ji family's footwork. Although it is only the basic footwork of the Ji family's unique skill, Qianqiu step, if you learn it and move faster, you may be able to escape if you encounter trouble in the future. This kind of footwork the Dharma does not depend on spiritual qualifications. As long as you take the time, you can always learn it. Guan looked at Di in a different light and was about to say something when Di picked up his baggage, patted him on the shoulder again, and passed him by. Guan turned around, followed his footsteps, and sent him out. Arriving in the courtyard, Di looked back at him and said, after all, you and I grew up together. Even if we drift apart due to choices in the future, our friendship will always be there. If you are having a hard time, you can come to me. After saying that, he slapped the scabbard with his left hand, and with a clang, the sword was unsheathed. He jumped up and stepped on the sword. What a handsome swordsmanship. Guan lowered his eyes and looked at the secret book in his hand, and the corners of his mouth rose. He began to read through the 8 direction steps and practiced in the yard, the Ji family's secret skill. I don't know if I can deduce the Ji family's secret knowledge through lifespan evolution and cultivation. After Xuan and the others had cleaned up all the parks, they quickly came to Guan's yard and watched him practice his footwork curiously. Senior brother, what kind of skills have you practiced? Yilan asked curiously. Guan moved his steps and asked with a smile, do you want to learn? Think. The 3 of them said in unison. Guan replied, I will teach you after I learn it. Boom. The door of the nearby house was pushed open, and Meng Lang walked out with bloodshot eyes. His forehead was full of bloody veins, which was horrifying and terrifying. Xuan, Lu Jiujia, and Yilan were all frightened. Meng Lang rushed directly to Yilan, who was closest to him, like a mad beast with a ferocious aura. Yilan was so frightened that she had no time to react. In less than a breath, Meng Lang was about to hit Yilan. Guan grabbed Yilan's shoulders and pulled him back, while simultaneously stepping on Meng Lang's chest with his right foot. Boom. Meng Lang's aura exploded, energy surrounded him, and his feet even left 2 long traces on the ground. Guan's right leg slowly straightened, forcing Meng Lang to step back. Xuan and the others' eyes widened, and Guan's figure was deeply imprinted in their eyes, shocking them. Senior brother is so powerful. Although Guan could usually win against them, but that was without using spiritual power. Both Xuan and Lu Jiujia believed that they would surpass their senior brothers sooner or later. Meng Lang suddenly grabbed Guan's right foot with both hands, and a brute force tried to break his foot. Guan jumped up suddenly and stepped down hard, causing Meng Lang to plop and fall to his knees. Meng Lang's knees sank into the soil. He was shaking all over and couldn't push Guan's feet away. He was in a very embarrassed state, thanks to Jianxing for the reward of 500 starting coins. Chapter 12, Building the Foundation, Dark Night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Guan suppress Meng Lang with just one kick, Xuan, Lu Jiujia, and Yilan were extremely excited. On weekdays, Meng Lang always brags that he is the strongest in the Medicine Valley, but he didn't expect that today he lost control and was pushed to his knees by his senior brother. No wonder the senior brother is not Meng Lang. Master has a keen eye. Guan looked down at Meng Lang who was kneeling in front of him and said, why don't you wake up? His spiritual energy poured into Meng Lang's body along his right leg, forcibly smoothing out the chaotic spiritual energy in his body. Meng Lang's breathing calmed down, the bloodshot eyes began to fade, and his ferocious expression gradually returned to normal. Seeing that he woke up, Guan slowly retracted his legs and then helped him. Meng Lang woke up suddenly. He looked up at Guan and gasped for air. Guan. What happened just now? Meng Lang asked with difficulty. The energy and blood in his body were shaking, making it difficult for him to speak. Guan replied, you seem to be possessed. When Meng Lang heard this, his eyes widened and he asked, I didn't hurt you, did I? The expressions of Xuan and Lu Jiujia instantly became strange. Yilan subconsciously wanted to answer, but Guan forced her to say, fortunately, you restrained yourself at the critical moment. Meng Lang couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He forced a smile and said, that's. I am the real senior brother. How can I hurt you? Yilan looked at Guan, her eyes full of admiration. The elder brother is not only powerful, but also gentle. Xuan and Lu Jiujia had the same idea, and at the same time they despised Meng Lang. To put it nicely, he looked like a ghost just now. Guan asked Xuan and the others to disperse, while he helped Meng Lang back to the house. What kind of skills are you practicing? Is it too evil? Guan asked. Although he had a bad opinion of Meng Lang, after all, the two of them got along day and night. If possible, he still hoped that Meng Lang would be safe and sound. Meng Lang chuckled and said, "Of course it's a magical skill. It's just that my qualifications and understanding are not enough, so it's easy for me to practice wrong. But there's no way, I have to become an outer disciple." Guan asked in confusion, "Why do you have to become an outer disciple? Didn't you care nothing about it before?" Meng Lang's face darkened instantly, and he fell into silence. Seeing that he didn't want to talk, Guan didn't ask any questions. After helping him to the bed, Guan turned and left. This incident is just a small episode for Guan. He can't control the fate of others. Everyone has their own pursuit. It would not be a pity if he died on the road of cultivating immortality. Arriving in the yard, Guan continued to practice Bafangbu. Winter has passed and spring has come, and it's another wonderful year. In the early morning, there was still ice and snow in the Medicine Valley, so Guan took his junior brother and junior sister up the mountain. Chopping down trees and uprooting them is also a kind of practice. You can use your own spiritual power to do it. Practice again when your spiritual power is exhausted. It will help improve your cultivation. Guan, dressed in green clothes, stood in the woods and chuckled. He put his hands behind his waist, showing off his expert demeanor. That day, he subdued the obsessed Meng Lang with one kick, and successfully established his master's demeanor in the hearts of his junior brothers and junior sisters. Guan even felt that his junior sister had other thoughts about him and was pestering him more and more. Fortunately, he guided Yilan to practice in time and diverted Yilan's attention. How can a cultivator talk about love? Guan doesn't want to fall into the emotional whirlpool too early in this life, otherwise he will get lost. Xuan turned around and asked, "Senior brother, should we use our hands or our legs?" Guan kept smiling and said, "Do whatever is convenient for you. Cultivation is one thing, and completing the task is another. You must find the right direction." Is this how Zhang Qianqiu felt before? It's exciting to talk nonsense. Senior brother Xuan, let's compete to see who is faster. Lu Jiujia said eagerly. Xuan agreed immediately, and Yilan also clamored to participate, but unfortunately they were ignored by the two. They didn't like fighting with women. Guan just watched them pull out trees and plan a new park. What herbs should be planted in this mountain? Guan fell into thinking. Although Xuan and the others were cultivators, their cultivation was not high. It took them half a day to clear a clearing. Guan brought the seeds of the third-level medicinal herb soul-shaking grass and asked them to plant them. After doing all this, the senior brothers went down the mountain together, talking and laughing. As the sun set, their shadows stretched on the hillside. Guan asked his junior brother and junior sister to talk about their goals. The goal of the three of them was to enter the outer gate, but their motivations were different. Xuan simply wanted to become stronger, Lu Jiujia wanted to prove it to his family, and Yilan seemed to have something to hide. Speaking vaguely, Guan listened with great interest. He believed that everyone should have their own story. Listening to different people's stories can also make his life more fulfilling. It has been a month since the soul-shaking grass was planted. On this day, there were few stars in the moonlit night. Guan was in the house, sitting on the bed meditating. He was confused as he looked at his attribute panel. Name, Guan. Lifespan, 20/3163, Spiritual Roots, First Class with Spiritual Roots, Better Spiritual Roots of the Four Elements, can be invested in Life Evolution Practice. Cultivation, 9th level of Qi Training Realm, can be invested in Life Evolution Practice. Skills, Fire Control Technique, not yet mastered, Shenmu Chunyang Kung Fu, proficient in the past. Longjin Xinyuan Kung Fu, proficient in the past. Alchemy, First Glimpse of the Door, can be invested in Life Evolution Practice. Secret. Skills, Guanfeng Jueying Kick, comprehensive. Li Family's 7 Swords, not yet perfected. Bafang Step, not yet perfected, can be put into Life Evolution Practice. Do you want to invest your life and hit the realm of cultivation? Jindan has the ability to refine the foundation building pill, and now that he is so kind to Guan, he may be able to seek the foundation building pill. It was just Meng Lang's anomaly that made Guan fearful of Jindan again. Meng Lang did not have a prominent background. If he had possessed magical skills, he would have been able to practice them long ago. Why did he wait until Li Ye and Zhang Qianqiu left before he started practicing? With Guan's current senses, he could confirm that Meng Lang had not had contact with strangers in the past 2 years. At most, he was summoned by Jindan. He would not eavesdrop on every conversation between these two people. That's all. It is better to seek help from others than from yourself. Be safe. On the road of cultivating immortality, if you are not careful, your body will be shattered into pieces. Guan immediately devoted 1 year of his life to his cultivation and evolution. Special reminder that cultivation is an actual existence, and the process of evolution turns the imaginary into reality, and its consumption will exceed the lifespan of actual cultivation. You have been focusing on qi cultivation for a year, but because you do not have a foundation building pill and lack of opportunities, you have not been able to break through the foundation building realm. 2 lines of prompts appeared in front of Guan. Because he failed to break through successfully, his cultivation level also did not increase. Guan remained calm and continued to invest year after year. Failure, failure, failure. After a full 9 times, his expression became unbearable. Wipe. I don't believe it anymore. Invest for 100 years. Guan, who was angry in his heart, directly devoted 100 years of his life to the cultivation of evolution. You have practiced Naki for 10 years, and you used your great attainments in Shenmu Chunyang Kung to forcefully attack the foundation building realm, but ultimately failed to break through. You have practiced Naki for 20 years, and you used your great attainments in Shenmu Chunyang Kung to forcefully attack the foundation building realm, and finally succeeded in breaking through. You have been cultivating Qi for 30 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 2nd level of the foundation establishment realm. You have been cultivating Qi for 50 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 3rd level of the foundation establishment realm. You have been cultivating Qi for 70 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 4th level of the foundation establishment realm. You have been cultivating Qi for 100 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 5th level of the foundation establishment realm. Lines of prompts flashed crazily before Guan's eyes. He didn't have time to feel happy before he felt bad. How big would the movement be if he had broken through so many levels? As soon as this idea came to him, his body began to feel hot, and Shenmu Chunyang Kung started automatically. He quickly stood up and quickly jumped out of the open window. His steps were very fast and soundless. In less than 3 breaths, he rushed into the mountain forest, pedaled his feet on the mountain wall, like an ape, and quickly climbed to the top of the mountain. At this time, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was already rushing towards him. He jumped and fell into the dim woods. He stepped on the branch with his right foot and used the force to lift up. After several jumps, he landed easily. Spiritual energy poured into his body crazily, causing a cyclone to form around him. He was absorbing spiritual energy faster and faster, which made him secretly afraid. Fortunately, he reacted too quickly. If he really made a breakthrough in the Medicine Valley, he would definitely disturb others. Jindan and Meng Lang may not dare to come out, but Xuan and Lu Jiujia will definitely come out, Guan was thinking as he rushed forward as fast as a fox. Under the dark night, the woods shook and made a rustling sound. Relying on Guan Feng Juying's legs, Guan ran extremely fast, climbing over mountains and ridges all the way. He is getting further and further away from the Medicine Valley. Before he could stop, his cultivation realm began to break through, and the spiritual energy roughly impacted his 8 extraordinary meridians, while simultaneously transforming his dantian. It hurts. Guan frowned, but his steps did not slow down. After running for more than 10 miles, he finally stopped in a forest and meditated under a tree. He sighed while doing his exercises. Unexpectedly, 100 years of life would allow him to break through from the 9th level of the Qi training realm to the 5th level of the foundation establishment realm. It seems that the lifespan taken away is real. Of course, the main reason why he can break through so quickly is his superb Shenmu Chunyang Kung Fu. If he invested 1,000 years of life, would he be able to reach the Dan formation realm in one breath, or would he be able to touch the nascent soul realm? Guan fell into endless imagination. He absorbed more and more spiritual energy from heaven and earth. This mountain forest seemed to be in a strong wind, shaking violently, falling leaves, and looking like monsters waving their teeth and claws under the dark night. This movement is a bit exaggerated. Guan secretly complained, the disadvantage of using lifespan to evolve cultivation has appeared. Too much movement can easily lead to trouble. After evolution, it is not to increase the cultivation level out of thin air, but to compress all the spiritual energy needed into a period of time to make a rapid breakthrough. There is such movement from the 9th level of the Qi Lian realm to the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. When he reaches the nascent soul realm from the Dan formation realm, wouldn't it be earth-shattering? During the breakthrough process, it would be bad if other monks were attracted. Guan is used to considering the worst-case scenario. No. You have to be more careful in the future. Guan decided to devote 1 year of his life to cultivation every day and make progress step by step. Time passed quickly, and the wind blew violently under the night. Guan's robes vibrated, and the spiritual power in his body increased rapidly. After a while, his momentum suddenly changed. Foundation building successful. His dantian transformed, generating spiritual energy at a faster rate, and at the same time stimulating the muscles and bones to become stronger. It's not over yet. His cultivation level continued to rise, and the billowing dust mixed with grass clippings surrounded him with a huge force. The 2nd floor of the Foundation Establishment realm. The 3rd floor of the Foundation Establishment realm. The 4th floor of the Foundation Establishment realm. Thank you for the reward of 600 starting coins. Bookfriend 20220428083911600 for the reward of 100 starting coins. It is updated every day at midnight and 12 o'clock noon, and there are a lot of updates in the new book period of 6,000 words. Today we start the new book PK process. Everyone who has read this far needs to click one page further to be considered as a follow-up reader. The new book has a higher follow-up reading data Qianqiu. Chapter 13. I only remember that his kicks were very fast. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guan was not happy about the rapid breakthrough. He was always on edge, fearing that someone would come. Taixuan Sect is so big, and it is hard to see anyone in the Medicine Valley within 100 miles. It shouldn't alarm the great monks, right? Guan was thinking, and suddenly he felt 2 powerful auras coming from afar, stronger than Chu Jingfeng at the beginning. What you fear will come true. He was in the process of increasing his cultivation from the 4th to the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment realm, and it was not convenient for him to get up. Even if he ran now, it would be difficult to get rid of the 2 people. Trouble is big. Guan nervously felt the 2 approaching auras. When the 2 sides were less than 100 feet away, the 2 stopped, separated by a mountain. He was in the dim woods, wearing a dark green robe, and the flying dust around him made it difficult for people to see his true appearance. Feeling that the 2 did not rush over forcefully, Guan breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the other party is also very afraid of him and dare not disturb him rashly. Guan's cultivation continued to grow. Due to the loud noise around him and the mountain between them, he could not hear the 2 people's communication, which made him unable to relax. When he broke through to the 5th level of the Foundation building realm, the 2 people on the other side of the mountain still did not move. Guan's cultivation growth rate began to slow down. He raised his right hand and pressed it on the tree trunk behind him, connecting the tree trunk with the spiritual power in his body. A green light appeared on the tree trunk and flowed around his palm. When the green light was connected from beginning to end, he retracted his right hand and directly tore off a tree mask from the tree trunk. He covered his face with the mask, and then the fingers of his other hand drew 2 eyes on the mask. The drawn area fell off, and a complete mask appeared on his face. The spiritual energy was still drilling into his body, but he was able to stand up. As if sensing that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was becoming calm, a loud voice came. I don't know which Taoist friend broke through here. Why not break through in your own cave? The voice was very serious, obviously suspecting that Guan was not a disciple of Taixuan Sect. Guan hesitated whether to answer. He was just an errant disciple, and was found to have successfully built his foundation within a few years of entering the sect. Even if he could successfully enter the outer sect, there would still be risks. He made too much noise tonight. If the two knew his identity, there must be a third or fourth person who knew it. What if someone had bad intentions towards him? It's no wonder that Guan thought too much. As a servant since childhood, he was used to the evil nature of human beings. Guan tied the mask with vines while thinking. His eyes flashed with cold light, shining coldly in the night. No. Can't be exposed. Guan didn't want to get into trouble. Even if he could become an outer sect disciple, it would not be a good thing for him. Taixuan Sect would not raise disciples for nothing. Outer sect disciples had to accept sect missions, and they would inevitably fall into danger of death. When his cultivation was completely stable, he stood up, his face covered by the mask, revealing only a pair of eyes, and his body was still surrounded by cyclones. At this time, he felt two auras coming quickly from the mountain. Obviously, the other party had regarded him as an invader. Guan dared not say anything because he judged that the other party's cultivation was not very strong. If the other party made him feel invincible, how could he think so much? He immediately turned around and rushed into the depths of the woods. Swoosh! A sound of breaking through the air came from behind Guan. He looked back and saw a cold light rushing in the dim woods, breaking branches along the way. Behind the cold light was a woman. The woman was dressed in white, with her right arm stretched out, her palm facing the hilt, her spiritual power connected, and the sword blade burst out with a sharp sword energy, unstoppable, like a startled wild goose flying through the woods. In an instant, her sword had killed behind Guan. Less than half a foot away, Guan's left foot landed, his body deflected backwards, and at the same time his left leg squatted down, and the sword blade just flew over him. The woman in white opened her eyes wide. The night made her face fall into darkness, but the sword light just shone on her eyes, and these bright and stunning eyes were full of astonishment. It happened so fast. As Guan squatted down, he kicked his right leg back, kicking the woman in white in the abdomen. A huge force that the woman in white had never experienced came, and her consciousness instantly went blank, and a mouthful of reverse blood spurted out of her mouth. Bang! The woman in white flew backwards, knocked down a big tree, and then fell on the grass, her life or death unknown. You dare! A violent shout came. Guan looked closely, and a green light figure quickly rushed over, leaving a trail of afterimages along the way, so fast. Guan's eyes couldn't keep up with the opponent's body movements, and in a panic, he directly used the wind and shadow kick. He had no actual combat experience, and when he dealt with the greedy demon ghost, he just slapped it. So facing a powerful opponent, he didn't dare to get close at all. Spiritual power poured into his right leg. He took a step back, and kicked out with his right leg. With this kick, a strong wind suddenly rose from the ground, whistling towards the green figure. In the green figure was a man holding a sword. His pupils suddenly dilated, and there were all leg shadows in them. Dust flew, rows of trees were knocked down, and leg shadows with overwhelming force submerged the man holding the sword, sweeping dozens of feet away. With great momentum, Guan retracted his legs, turned around and plunged into the darkness. The forest gradually fell into calm, and when the dust dissipated, the man holding the sword fell to the ground, motionless. Early morning. Yilan walked out of the house, her eyes habitually looking towards the courtyard of her senior brothers. She saw the figures of her senior brothers through the not-so-high courtyard wall. They are really hard-working. I can't be left behind by them. Yilan thought secretly, and she walked quickly. When she came to the courtyard, she walked quickly to Guan and greeted him obediently. Big brother. Guan smiled and nodded at her. Big brother, are you going to work today? Yilan asked curiously, because Guan changed into a cloth shirt, which was his old clothes. He would only wear it when picking. Guan replied, well, I plan to find time to go to the mountain in the afternoon. Yilan didn't think much, but continued, there was a strong wind last night, which made me dare not practice. I was afraid that the spiritual energy would be disordered and affect my luck during the process of taking in the air. Big brother, I heard from Brother Meng before that you were attacked by demons. What was the situation at that time? Guan watched Xiao Chuan and Lu Zhejia practice the Kenfeng leg while introducing the situation at that time. He is always patient, no matter who he is. Half an hour later, the junior brothers and sisters left, and Guan welcomed his own relaxation time. He lay under the tree, holding the green hero's travel notes in one hand and playing with the white spirit rat in the other hand, feeling very comfortable. At this moment, he kept thinking about the two people he met last night. He had already stopped, so he shouldn't have killed the two people, right? Guan was a little uneasy. After all, he had no grudges against the two people. Without grudges, Guan didn't want to kill anyone. With such worries, Guan spent a slightly tormenting day. The sun set and the moon rose, and it was noon the next day. Guan, who was standing in front of the wooden fence reading a book, suddenly caught a glimpse of a figure at the entrance of the valley. He looked closely and found that there was more than one person, a man and a woman. Guan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he was not dead, he used the dragon power divine Yuanying to suppress his cultivation to the third level of the Qi training realm, so he was not afraid of being recognized. Soon, Jindan walked out of the attic. He walked quickly to the two people and saluted. Standing in front of him were a woman in white and a man in blue. The woman in white had a cold and beautiful face, her skin was as white as cream, her eyes were like willow eyebrows, and she held the scabbard in her right hand. The whole person exuded a cold and arrogant temperament that no strangers should enter. The man in blue was also handsome, with an upright posture and a gorgeous brocade robe, but his face was a little pale. They were all outer disciples of Taixuan Sect. The man was named Yuanying and the woman was named Xuan. Facing Jindan, Yuanying smiled and explained his purpose. After listening to his words, Jindan replied, "No one else has come to our medicine valley in the past 2 days. Jindan has lived for 100 years and has experienced everything, so he acted very calmly." Yuanying looked at the medicine valley and said, "Can you call your disciples over?" Jindan had no objection. He turned around and sank his breath into his dantian, and called out loudly. After hearing it, Guan and others all ran over. "Xuan, go and pull your senior brother Meng out as well." Jindan ordered. Xuan turned around and ran to find Meng Lang. As soon as he heard it, Yuanying and Xuan began to look at Guan and the other two, their brows furrowed, and they said nothing. Jindan remained silent, waiting for Meng Lang to arrive. Guan took this opportunity to check the lifespans of the two outer disciples. The night before was too urgent, and he had no time to check the lifespans. Xuan, Foundation Building Level 424/245/1670. Yuanying, Foundation Building Level 525/298/1304, good guy. They are all geniuses, with a foundation building level of more than 20 years old, and their maximum lifespan is more than 1,000 years old. Among them, Xuan's maximum lifespan is higher than Li's. They all have the surname Li. Could this woman also be from the royal family? Guan was secretly shocked. Fortunately, he did not reveal his identity the night before. Not long after, Xuan came with Meng Lang, who looked irritable. Yuanying narrowed his eyes when he saw Meng Lang. He sent a message to Xuan next to him and said, "Junior sister Li, this kid's aura is wild and there are signs of being possessed by demons. Although his cultivation is very low, he may be related to the person we are looking for." Xuan stared at Meng Lang. Her cold eyes seemed to see through him. Meng Lang felt the gazes of the two people, and seeing that they were dressed in extraordinary clothes, he immediately restrained his expression. He lowered his head and stood beside Guan, followed by Xuan. Jindan asked, "The night before, a mysterious cultivator broke through more than 10 miles away from the Medicine Valley. He was suspected to be a spy of the demonic path. Have you seen anyone else in the past few days?" Good guy. "The spies of the demonic path are here." Guan complained in his heart, frowned on his face, and showed a nervous look. Meng Lang widened his eyes and shouted, "Is there another demon invasion?" "Again? What do you mean?" Yuanying stared at Meng Lang and asked. Meng Lang couldn't control his mouth and immediately told the story of the greedy demon ghost. When he heard that this matter also implicated an inner disciple, Yuanying's face changed slightly. "Is this area so dangerous?" Yuanying immediately didn't want to investigate further. Guan took the opportunity to ask, "Two seniors, have you ever met the evil spy? Can you provide us with some clues?" The others nodded. When they heard the word evil, they all became nervous. Yuanying pondered and said, "It was too dark that night. I only remember that his leg skills were very fast. Thank you for the anti-routine single reward of 100 starting coins. Ask for all kinds of votes. Qianqiu. Chapter 14 Daily Plan, Medicine Gu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Quick kicks. Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia, and Yilan all looked moved. They thought of Guan at the same time, but they didn't look at Guan, they just murmured in their hearts. Meng Lang asked, "What do you mean? You two have never beaten that demonic spy." But when Yang heard this, his expression suddenly changed. He took a deep breath and said, "It is true that our skills are inferior to others. My cultivation level is at the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. My cousin's cultivation level is the 4th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. He can easily defeat our demonic monks. His cultivation level is it's hard to estimate. If you have any clues, tell us as soon as possible to avoid causing trouble for yourself." Meng Lang, Xiaochuan and others all took a deep breath as he showed up to practice together. Meng Lang felt scared, and he quickly asked, "Since you are no match for him, why do you still dare to look for him? Why don't you invite the inner disciples?" Yang replied, "We have our own backup plan." He became more and more unhappy with Meng Lang. This boy was too deserving of a beating, and his words were so painful that he felt deeply in his heart. Guan took the opportunity to say, "If the other party is really a spy of the demon Dao, and the two seniors were defeated easily, it is unreasonable. I think the injuries of the two seniors are not serious. How can the demon Dao be so kind?" Yang looked at him with subtle eyes. He thought for a while and replied, "It's really hard to decide, but both the outer disciples and the inner disciples have their own caves. It's impossible for them to come here to break through. There must be something fishy. You really don't have any clues?" Li Xuanyu looked at Guan. Guan pretended to be nervous and did not dare to look at the two outer disciples. "You too, it seems that my disciples have indeed never seen any demon spies," Jindan said, breaking the delicate atmosphere. Yang still wanted to speak, but Li Xuanyu on the side said first, "In that case, let's say goodbye." After saying that, she raised her hand to salute Jindan, then turned and left. Yang could only keep up with her, and glared at Meng Lang before leaving. Xiaochuan turned to look at Guan, and was about to say something, but was stopped by Yilan. She put her finger in front of her mouth, making a silencing gesture, and winked. Jindan didn't say much, turned around and walked towards his attic. After watching Yang and the others come out of the valley, Guan just walked towards his courtyard, followed closely by the others, but Xiaochuan hesitated to speak. Guan glanced at him and asked with a smile, "Why, do you think, senior brother, that my kicks are powerful enough to defeat two Foundation Establishment monks, Dodogawas?" Face turned red and he couldn't help but scratch his head. Meng Lang burst out laughing, and he said angrily, "Your senior brother has only practiced at the 3rd level of Qi realm, and the Can Wind kick he practiced is one of the most common kicks in the outer sect. How could he be an outer sect disciple?" "The devil's spy in your mouth." Lu Jiujia nodded. He really didn't think that Guan was a spy for the devil. In his eyes, the senior brother was the gentlest and kindest person he had ever seen. Yilan was a little dissatisfied and said, "Even if it is the most common kicking technique, senior brother will be able to master it sooner or later." That day, the story of Guan suppressing Meng Lang with one leg did not reach Meng Lang's ears. This was Guan's order, and neither his junior brother nor junior sister leaked it. Meng Lang shook his head and laughed, then left alone. He was going to practice his spells in the woods. Yilan looked at his back and shook her fist angrily, her face bulging into two buns. "Okay, let's practice separately and try to gain admission to the outer sect as soon as possible," Guan said with a smile, and then waved his hand to signal his junior brothers and sisters to disperse. The other side, above the mountains, Yang and Li Xuanyu were flying side by side with swords. Their speed was not very fast, and their eyes were scanning below. "Cousin, I always felt that something was wrong with Yaogu just now," Yang said, with a coldness in his eyes. "That guy is so annoying." Yang was thinking about Meng Lang's ugly face, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Li Xuanyu looked cold and said softly, "I think the handyman disciple is right. Maybe the other party is not a demon spy at all, but he just doesn't want people to recognize him." You and I are the best proof that we are alive. Yuanying frowned and said, is there such a person among the outer sect? I feel that he has at least the 9th level of foundation establishment realm, and I have never seen that kind of kicking technique. It must be some kind of unique skill. His background is probably great. It has a background. Sooner or later you will know. Li Xuanyu raised her eyes to look at the horizon, as if thinking of something. Her beautiful eyebrows frowned. Yuanying also fell into silence. Both of them were famous geniuses from the outer sect. He was shocked when he thought that his opponent the night before was also a disciple of the outer sect. Summer is gradually coming, and the summer in Taixuan is very hot. The whole world is distorting, and Lu Jiujia, who is digging the ground, is covered in white gas. Xuan, who is already 21 years old, is refining alchemy in the yard. There is a small cauldron in front of him. He stares at the boiling potion and hesitates whether to throw the herbs in his hand into it. Alchemy is really a technical job. When Xuan was in trouble, Meng Lang ran quickly into the courtyard and rushed into his house. In less than 10 breaths, he came out carrying a baggage. Xuan, I'm going to take the external examination. When I become famous, I will come back to take care of you. Meng Lang dropped these words and left excitedly. External examination. Xuan was surprised. Meng Lang was only at the 7th level of Qi realm. How could he take part in the assessment? If you can't show outstanding talent when you enter, you can only enter the outer gate after the foundation building is successful. This is Taixuan, the first sect of Taixuan dynasty. Foundation building monks are placed in some third-rate sects and must be enshrined, but in Taixuan Sect they can only be outer disciples. Xuan looked in the direction Meng Lang was running and saw Qianqiu going downstairs. Qianqiu actually wanted to take Meng Lang out of the valley with him. Xuan felt that there was something fishy about this matter, but even if he tried to stop him now, Meng Lang would not listen. This guy had become paranoid for the identity of an outer disciple. Why should I care? I want to pursue the path of immortality. If I care about this and that, will I be able to have peace in the future? Xuan thought so, and his eyes became firm. He continued to make pills, trying not to think about Meng Lang. So, he sat in front of the small cauldron for a day and successfully made a pile of medicine residue. He didn't go out until late at night. He left the medicine valley not for Meng Lang, but for his own cultivation. 2 months had passed since Yuanying and Li Xuanyu left, and he was ready to start his daily plan. Every night in the future, he escaped and invested 1 year of life in his cultivation. This time, investing life to improve cultivation also made a lot of noise, but fortunately it was far less than before, and it ended quickly. The next day, Xuan took the opportunity to ask Yilan how her cultivation went last night. Yilan didn't hear the wind this time, and her cultivation went smoothly. Xuan was completely relieved that the daily plan could be implemented. Days passed by. Qianqiu and Meng Lang had been gone for half a month and still hadn't returned. Xuan was sure that Meng Lang was in danger. Before, Qianqiu went to the outer sect and came back at most in 7 days, and he had never been delayed for so long. Xuan and the other two asked when the master would come back, and Xuan could only divert their attention and let them concentrate on their cultivation. 2 months later, Qianqiu finally came back. Qianqiu had white hair and no cloth hat. His image shocked Xuan and the other two, and they all surrounded him, and Xuan did the same. Master is fine, just rest for a few days. Qianqiu waved his hand and said weakly. He gently pushed Lu Jiujia away and walked towards his attic. Xuan frowned. He saw that Qianqiu's cultivation had regressed to the 2nd level of Qi training, and his lifespan had been shortened, with only 2 years left. He originally thought that Qianqiu was going to plot against Meng Lang, either to take over Meng Lang's body or to refine Meng Lang into a puppet, but Qianqiu looked like he was about to die. Xuan looked at Qianqiu's back and fell into deep thought. Yilan thought he was worried about Qianqiu, so she comforted him. Big brother, don't worry, master will be fine. Xuan looked at her and nodded with a smile. After chatting with his junior brothers and sisters for a few words, Xuan left alone. I feel something is wrong with master. Lu Jiujia pulled Xuan and whispered, his brows furrowed, his eyes a little sharp. Xuan nodded and said, it's indeed wrong. Lu Jiujia leaned close to his ear and began to speak in a low voice. Yilan kept looking at Guan's back. After Jindan came back, he was locked in the room. Guan could feel that he was practicing to heal his injuries, but his breath was getting weaker day by day. It was not until winter was about to come that Jindan finally came out of the house. He called Guan from a distance, and Guan immediately ran over. Master. Guan saluted respectfully. Jindan had a head full of white hair, even his beard and eyebrows had turned white, and there were even some brown spots on his face, making him look extremely old. Let's go, I'll take you to the outer gate. Jindan stroked his beard and smiled, and his smile was very kind. Guan couldn't help but ask, what are you going to the outer gate for? Don't you want to be the valley master in the future? Jindan asked back. Guan's heartbeat quickened when he heard it, but his expression changed drastically, and he asked in panic, Master, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Jindan saw him so panicked, and his eyes became softer. Let's go, we'll talk on the way. Jindan said, and turned to walk out of the valley. Guan hurriedly told Xuan, who was closest to him, and then followed Taixuan's pace. After walking out of the valley, Jindan walked towards the woods. Now he could no longer fly with a sword, which meant that they had to go to the outer gate. Guan suddenly wanted to turn back and told Xuan and the other two not to pick the herbs that were about to mature and wait for him to come back to pick them. The master and his apprentice walked in the woods. Guan wanted to support Jindan, but he declined. The sect's salary for the valley master is limited. You should think carefully before recruiting menial disciples in the future, and you have to hand in a certain amount of harvest every year. Jindan walked in front and said casually. Guan seemed to be listening carefully, but he was also alert in his heart. After all, Meng Lang's life and death were still uncertain. Taixuan's pace was not fast, and there were many mountains nearby. It took half an hour for the two to walk a few miles. Guan's mentality was a little bit overwhelmed. How long would it take to reach the outer gate? He even wanted to carry Jindan away. The two crossed a stream, and Jindan in front suddenly asked, Why don't you ask about Meng Lang's whereabouts? Guan pretended to be confused and asked, Didn't he go to participate in the outer sect assessment? Didn't he pass it? Master lied to him. He has been refined into a medicine poison by Master. Jindan answered while walking forward, not afraid of Guan attacking from behind. Guan heard this. His face did not change. He carefully sensed the surroundings and made sure there was no one else around. Thanks to a little bee for rewarding 5,000 starting coins. Book friend 20240407220137319 for rewarding 100 starting coins. A new week has begun. Asking for monthly tickets, recommendation tickets, follow-up reading, comments, and preparing to rush to the new book list. Chapter 15 Qianqiu Pavilion, the Master of Xian Valley. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Medicine Gu. Master, you. Guan asked in a frightened tone, would Jindan also want to attack him? Jindan did not even turn his head. He pushed aside the branches blocking the road in front of him, bent down and walked past. As he walked forward, he said, Meng Lang's aptitude is better than yours, but it is limited. Even with the support of my elixir, it is difficult to build a foundation. Medicine Valley only needs one successor. His existence is a threat to you. You should be able to feel the flaws in his character. Guan was silent when he heard this. This sounded wrong. Why did he kill Meng Lang for him? But he did not want Meng Lang to die. Although Meng Lang was humble, his nature was not bad. Don't think too much. Although I killed him to pave the way for you, you should blame him because his aptitude is better than yours. I helped the master of Medicine Valley. Jindan said carelessly. Guan couldn't help but ask, shouldn't we choose someone with strong qualifications as the leader of the Medicine Valley? But if he had great qualifications, how could he spend his life in this Medicine Valley? Is there anything special about this Medicine Valley? Indeed, I am not just a disciple of Taixuan Sect, but also a spy of Qianqiu Pavilion. Qianqiu Pavilion is a sect of the demonic Tao, and its strength is not as good as that of Taixuan Sect, so it has planted many spies like me. Good guy, there really is a spy of the demonic Tao. Guan suddenly didn't know how to respond. He could see that Jindan really didn't want to murder him, and the most terrible thing was that Jindan obviously wanted to pass the burden of the spy to him. After I die, you can be your valley master without any worries. You don't have to do anything deliberately. When Qianqiu Pavilion needs you, someone will come to you. You just need to follow their instructions. Of course, you can also report to Taixuan Sect. Anyway, I don't have many years left. But you have to consider whether Taixuan Sect can tolerate you. For a chores disciple like you, it is better to kill by mistake than to miss. When Jindan said this, his tone was mixed with a hint of comfort, which made Guan want to hit him. Remember the code of Qianqiu Pavilion, Qianqiu Tsongteng has no regrets, and it is difficult to find the root of all things. Don't I have any other choice? What do you think? Guan was silent again. Even for Qianqiu Pavilion, spies like me are insignificant. Maybe you will never encounter them in your life. Jindan said in a self-deprecating tone. Guan thought about it and found that he really couldn't resist. This is like yellow mud falling into the trouser legs. If he is not a spy of the demonic sect, then he must be one. Master, if you are a cultivator of Qianqiu Pavilion, there must be a reason for staying in this medicine valley. Why hide? Guan asked in a deep voice. You are really smart. Yes, there is a 7th-level spiritual tree hidden under the medicine valley. When we go back, I will take you to see it. 7th level. Guan's voice trembled, and his eyes were shining. The fine winter snow was flying between heaven and earth. A towering city stood between the mountains. The city gate was 10 feet high. Some people walked into the city, and there were also Taixuan disciples flying on swords, and even disciples riding mounts. Guan walked on the mountain road, looking at the outer gate city of Taixuan from a distance, with surprise in his eyes. What a big city! Taixuan has 8 outer gate cities, and inside are 4 inner gate cities. There is also a main city of the sect in the 4 inner gate cities. Only the geniuses and those of high status can set foot there. From the sky, it is said that the distribution of Taixuan is like an exquisite compass, and each mountain has its own mystery. Jindan introduced, he sighed, and regret appeared in his eyes. Guan couldn't help asking, how big is Taixuan? It took them more than half a month to walk this way, which shows how far the Medicine Valley is from this city. It is vast and boundless, and I don't know it. Jindan continued to walk towards the outer gate city, and Guan followed closely behind. Guan did not come to the outer gate city when he first joined Taixuan. An elder of Taixuan received Ji Xiaoyu in a mountain forest attic. It was for her face that when Guan told where he wanted to go, the elder sent a disciple to escort him to Qingxuandan's Medicine Valley. This was his first time to the outer gate. The master and his apprentice walked all the way to the city gate. Jindan showed his token. Guan saw 2 words engraved on the token, Xian Gu. After entering the city, a deafening noise came, which surprised Guan secretly. The city gate is restricted. With his hearing, he couldn't hear the sound inside the city from outside the city. The best herbs are first come first served. Only 10 plants are sold today. Come and take a look at the treasures left by the Yuanying Great Monk's Cave. The pure-blooded Snow Mountain Spirit Fox can speak human language after being raised for 5 more years at most. Pick up treasures. Pick up treasures. Each item is 10 low-grade spirit stones. What can be opened depends on luck. The map of the cave of the ancient great monk, those with strong strength can come to buy it. Guan was attracted by the hawking on both sides of the street. There were attic shops on both sides. The street was wide and there were no disciples setting up stalls. Guan even saw a brothel. Yes, it is worthy of being a famous and upright sect. Qingxuandan's introduction opened Guan's eyes. No wonder so many people are trying their best to enter Taixuan Sect. Taixuan Sect's cultivation resources are indeed rich. Guan not only listened, but also used his lifespan to explore frantically. After walking 2 miles on the street, he had seen 5 cultivators with a maximum lifespan of more than 500 years. the outer sect is really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Half an hour later, Jindan led Guan into a huge mansion. There were 3 big characters on the plaque, Dan Yao Tang. People were coming and going in the Dan Yao Tang. Some were in a hurry, some were frowning, and some were laughing. Guan followed Jindan to a courtyard and met an elder of the Dan Yao Tang. Zhu Qinglu, a 9th-level foundation building cultivator, was one of the elders of the Dan Yao Tang. He was in charge of the 54 medicinal valleys and was Xuan's boss. He was fat, wearing a loose green Taoist robe, with a kind smile on his face, giving people a harmless feeling. In the lobby, Zhu Qinglu met Jindan and asked his disciples to pour him tea. "Xiandan, why do you look so bad?" Zhu Qinglu asked with concern. Guan took the opportunity to use his lifespan to detect. Zhu Qinglu, 9th-level foundation building 211/267/510, lived for 211 years. Guan stood beside Jindan, not daring to be rude. Jindan said with a smile, "To be honest, my time is coming. Today, in addition to handing over the herbs, I came for my disciple. I want to pass the position of the master of Xian Valley to him." Zhu Qinglu looked at Guan and said with a smile, "He is at the 3rd level of qi training. It seems that this boy has something extraordinary. Pa. What a dirty curse." Jindan said with a smile, "This boy has a pure character, can unite the disciples, and he is willing to stay in Medicine Valley for a lifetime. He is the best candidate." Zhu Qinglu did not say much. He raised his hand and beckoned, and a disciple came out of the hall. After an incense stick of time, Guan followed Jindan out of the medicine hall. He was playing with a bronze token in his hand, on which the word Xian Valley was engraved. He could feel the breath of prohibition inside. From now on, in the medicine hall of Taixuan, his identity is the master of Xian Valley. The Valley Master's storage bag is here with me. I will pass it to you. Xuan's voice came from the front, interrupting Guan's thoughts. Guan hurriedly asked, "Master, where are we going next?" That he wanted to go back. There was a batch of herbs that could be picked. He was afraid that his junior brothers and sisters would help him pick them. "Before going back, I will take you to the miscellaneous hall, where you can recruit miscellaneous disciples. Today, you can recruit a miscellaneous disciple and take him back together, so that you can get familiar with this process." Jindan responded without turning his head. Guan looked at his back, and his emotions surged in his heart. People have many sides, and this is reflected vividly in Jindan. Jindan used to treat his disciples coldly, and now he has refined one of his disciples into a medicinal poison. He is even more of a spy of the magic way. No matter how you look at it, he is a bad guy, but his kindness to Guan is real. The errand hall is not far from the alchemy hall. It is just a few streets away. This mansion is even bigger. After entering the gate, Guan saw a vast square full of people. Looking at the candidate disciples waiting to be selected, Guan realized that he was still very lucky. If it weren't for the Ji family, he would have to wait to be selected like these people if he entered Taixuan with his spiritual root qualifications. Just take a look at it yourself. I won't interrupt you. After you choose, I will take you to register. Jindan said softly. He rubbed his chest and was obviously a little uncomfortable. Guan nodded and walked away. Still need to judge. The golden finger is activated. Guan began to frantically explore the lifespan, checking people as he saw them. Most people here have a very low lifespan, and there are even short-lived ghosts. Some people only live for 1 year, but they are still looking forward to being selected. Guan soon found a genius with a lifespan of more than 500 years. He was not in a hurry to make a decision. He looked at everyone first. Medicine Valley doesn't need geniuses. He wants to choose people with long current lifespan. The maximum lifespan is the limit of a person's cultivation. It is so difficult to reach the limit, and it takes so many opportunities to fill it. The reason why there are so many lost pearls is that the spiritual root qualification cannot completely determine the height of a person's future. The current lifespan is different. As long as he is not seriously injured, he can live that long. Soon, Guan's eyes locked on a young man. This is a young monk with ordinary face, wearing tattered cloth, meditating in a corner of the square. Wu Xian, Qi training level 215/330/380. Qi training level can actually have a lifespan of 330 years. Strange. Maybe this boy has a special physique, or he has practiced some special skills. Guan immediately walked in front of Wu Xian. Wu Xian noticed something and opened his eyes. What he saw was Guan's smiling face. This little brother, are you willing to go to my medicine valley? It's not too busy at ordinary times. You have enough time to practice. Guan smiled gently. Wu Xian saw his smile and nodded subconsciously. Jindan on the side looked at Wu Xian. He seemed to see something. Then he glanced at Guan. His eyes became strange. Thank you Dan Cha Tuxiang for the reward of 1 million starting coins. The Silver Alliance of the Operation Officer is very powerful. Thank you Zingling's Wixu for the reward of 5,000 starting coins. Thank you old friend. Thank you Yilutinjiu Ylty for the reward of 100 starting coins. In the new week, I ask for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets, especially monthly tickets, and some comments to increase popularity. Chapter 16 Foundation Establishment Level 7, Mystery of the Mountains and Forests. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After being invited by Guan, Wu Xian didn't say a word until he walked out of the handyman hall. From beginning to end, he just nodded. Guan suspected that he had recruited a mute. For Wu Xian, becoming a handyman disciple as soon as possible is the most important thing at the moment. Guan made a good first impression on him, so he agreed directly. The reason why he is so anxious to become a handyman disciple is that he is a master of magic. He comes from Qianqiu Pavilion of demonic sect and is the youngest son of a pavilion master of Qianqiu Pavilion. Because his qualifications are not as good as those of his brothers, he volunteered to work as a craftsman. One is to escape the oppressive environment at home, and the other is to see if he can make meritorious deeds. If not, forget it. Wu Xian looked at Guan and Jindan in front of him. He had already made a preliminary judgment about the two of them, a kind and simple ordinary monk, an old man who is about to die. Judging from what they said, the medicine valley is indeed very relaxing and the atmosphere will be very good. Snow was falling heavily, Xuangu was plunged into a vast whiteness, and the sky and the earth were only one color. Boom. Wu Xian was kicked to the snow splashed on his face, and he clutched his chest in pain. Lu Jiujia. Why are you so serious? Yilan on the side scolded. Lu Jiujia stood on the snow, slowly retracted his legs, raised his chin, and hummed, you have to be serious when sparring, so that you can improve. His cultivation level has reached the 5th level of the Qi training realm, and he is the strongest person in Yao Valley. Yilan's cultivation level is the 4th level of the Qi training realm. Xiaochuan, like Guan, is both at the 3rd level of the Qi training realm. Wu Xian, who was at the 2nd level of the Qi training realm, was helpless in front of Lu Jiujia. Damn it, how come the handyman disciple is so strong? Wu Xian's mentality almost collapsed. He saw Lu Jiujia practicing his legs, so he couldn't help but want to give it a try, but he didn't expect to be defeated by Lu Jiujia with both legs. What he didn't know was that Lu Jiujia had a good senior brother. Over the years, Guan would take time to train with Lu Jiujia every day. Lu Jiujia couldn't win every time he tried his best. Day after day, his leg skills had become superb, and his physical strength not small either. Wu Xian didn't believe in evil and thought he was careless. He stood up and pounced on Lu Jiujia again. Boom. Boom. Lu Jiujia kicked Wu Xian twice in succession, knocking Wu Xian to the ground again. Wu Xian only felt that his forearm was about to break. At the age of 15, he lay on the snow and shed tears of shame. Why is this happening? This is different from the meticulous life he imagined. Not to mention going up mountains of swords and seas of fire. Even if he loses, he should lose on the road of stealing intelligence. He was actually defeated by a handyman disciple who looked ordinary in every aspect. If I hadn't practiced this skill, with my talent, how could I have suffered this humiliation? That Wu Xian clenched his hands into fists, and the quarrel between Yilan and Lu Jiujia sounded, which was so harsh to his ears. Lu Jiujia looked at Yilan in front of him and said dissatisfiedly, he is a boy, not a weak girl. Go away and don't favor him. Why didn't you say anything when I was kicked to the ground by my senior brother? That Yilan glared at him and said, why didn't I say anything? I was helping you to speak, and you still yelled at me. Besides, the senior brother didn't work as hard as you. Think about it carefully. If the senior brother is competing with you, are you waiting for you? After he used all his kicks, he defeated you gently. On the other hand, if you do it forcefully or recklessly, what can junior brother Wu Xian learn from you? When Lu Jiujia heard this, his expression changed with dissatisfaction. He thought about it carefully, and it seemed like this, precisely because he can try his best every time, he can have more ideas. You really can't learn anything from being beaten unilaterally. Lu Jiujia couldn't help but feel ashamed, and at the same time he was even more grateful to Guan. The elder brother was really kind to him. Yilan helped Wu Xian up and saw that his eyes were red. She quickly comforted him, don't get to know him. He is also doing it for your own good. He wants to seriously discuss with you and make progress together. It's just that he likes to be more serious. Lu Jiujia scratched his head in embarrassment when he saw Wu Xian's eyes were red. Jiujia, I see your leg skills are improving, let's practice. A gentle voice came from behind. Lu Jiujia turned his head and saw Guan walking towards him with a spring breeze smile. When Lu Jiujia heard this, he nodded eagerly. He had recently become more confident and felt that he could beat his senior brother. Yilan and Wu Xian looked at Guan. Wu Xian was secretly curious, is this senior brother really that powerful? Can he defeat Lu Jiujia across two small realms? Guan stopped and waved to Lu Jiujia. Lu Jiujia smiled and stepped in front of him, boom. Lu Jiujia fell more than 10 meters and drew a long ravine in the snow. With stars in his eyes, he almost fainted, feeling that his internal organs were shifting and the pain was excruciating. Wu Xian was stunned. What fast legs. He didn't even see clearly how Guan acted. Yilan smiled and rolled her eyes. She walked quickly to Guan and praised her senior brother for getting faster and faster. Guan rubbed her head, then looked at Wu Xian and asked, Wu Xin, do you want to learn leggings in the future? That Wu Xian's maximum lifespan is higher than others, and he can be considered a genius, but he can't be kicked out by Lu Jiujia. Think. Wu Xian responded, his tone sonorous and forceful, not as soft as usual. Lu Jiujia started wailing in the distance, attracting Guan's attention. Guan walked up to him, looked down at him, and hummed, stop pretending, senior brother, I want to ask you, do you like this kind of competition? Lu Jiujia lay on the ground, turned slightly and glanced at Guan with one eye. Seeing his serious expression, he covered his eyes again and said in pain, brother, I was wrong. Guan pulled him up and patted the snow off his body while saying softly, the real strong person is not to defeat those who are stronger than himself, but to be able to control his arrogance and not bully those who are weaker than himself. Lu Jiujia rubbed his chest and thought carefully about Guan's words. Yilan and Wu Xian also heard it, especially Wu Xian, who was shocked. He didn't expect such an expert to be hidden in this small medicine valley. In Qianqiu Pavilion, bullying is the norm. He is weak, and even his father and brothers bully him. Yes. They are not strong at all. Wu Xian thought to himself that the way he looked at Guan became different. Let you teach Wu Xian how to train his legs first. Guan patted Lu Jiujia's shoulder and said. Lu Jiujia nodded quickly, not daring to refuse. Later, Guan took Yilan up the mountain to take care of the newly planted seeds. Xiao Chuan was on the mountain. As for Jindan, he stayed in his room after returning. Guan visited him once and he said that he was recuperating his health. After that, Guan did not dare to disturb him. As the days passed, Wu Xian's joining made the Medicine Valley lively. Lu Jiujia and Xiao Chuan loved to tease him, and the sound of the three people playing around could be heard in the Medicine Valley from time to time. End of the year, night falls, Guan was reading in the room. What he was reading was no longer Qing Xia's travel notes, but another book called The Secret History of Qianqiu Pavilion. This book came from the library in Yaogu. He didn't know whether it was authentic or not, but he read it for fun anyway. The flame of the oil lamp swayed slightly, and a bit of cold wind came in through the cracks in the window. Guan, who was already at the 6th level of Foundation Establishment realm, remained unmoved. When he finished reading this page, he put down the book and prepared to get up and go about his daily plan. Suddenly, he heard slight movement from the house next door. Someone walked out of the door. The movement was very gentle, but it could not escape his ears, its enlightenment. Guan was very familiar with the aura of everyone in the Medicine Valley, and he could immediately identify the person's identity. He silently listened to Wu Xian's footsteps, and Wu Xian walked towards the library. After entering the building, the boy began to look through the books. What is he looking for? Guan was filled with curiosity. In his impression, Wu Xian was very honest. He would do everything he arranged carefully, unlike Lu Jiujia, who would occasionally be lazy. In addition to being honest, Wu Xian also has a competitive spirit second only to Lu Jiujia. From time to time, he would compete with his two senior brothers, and they would fight and lose again and again. Could it be that this kid is looking for a secret book? Guan felt a little sorry for his junior brother when he thought of this. From tomorrow on, he will teach his junior brother in person. Wu Xian searched for half an hour, then quietly returned to his house. After a while, Guan stood up and quietly left his house. He was going to the mountains and forests 10 miles away to carry out his daily plans. Another summer has arrived. Guan is over 22 years old, and his lifespan has exceeded 4,000 years. He plans to save it for tens of thousands of years before using it. Less than half a year later, relying on his daily plan, his cultivation had successfully broken through to the 7th level of the Foundation Establishment realm, but his superficial cultivation was still at the 3rd level of the Qi cultivation realm. As time went by, Guan became more and more curious about the 7th level spiritual tree mentioned by Jindan. He also tried to search for it, but he could not find the entrance to the underground. Wu Xian would occasionally explore around late at night. Once, the two almost met. Fortunately, Guan had excellent hearing and discovered it in advance. Near noon, Guan squatted under a tree and observed his white spirit rat. The white spirit rat was circling wildly in front of him, very lively. Grown up. But spring has clearly passed. Guan thought in confusion. He had raised the white spirit rat for several years, but its size had not changed. Liya was not here, and he could not judge the growth stage of the white spirit rat. This little guy has been spinning in front of him for a long time. The white spirit rat seemed to understand Guan's words. It suddenly jumped up, bit Guan's hand, and then ran away quickly. Guan didn't feel any pain, so he wasn't angry either. He followed it with his eyes and saw the white spirit rat stopping and circling wildly on the spot again, etc. Could it be? Guan thought of something and quickly stood up and walked towards Bai Ling Shu. Seeing him approaching, the white spirit rat stopped wandering around and ran towards the forest. One person and one rat quickly disappeared into the forest. Wu Xian stood under the tree and looked at the direction Guan was leaving. He frowned and thought, it's the mountains again. I heard from Lu Jiujia that Liya and Meng Lang both like to go to the mountains and forests to practice alone. The senior brother's leg skills were far better than his. His level of cultivation is so great. Could there be a mystery in the mountains and forests? The more he thought about it, the more he thought it was possible. Instead of chasing Guan, he planned to quietly check it out at night. The other side, Guan followed by Ling Shu over the mountains and unexpectedly left the Medicine Valley. Good guy, does this guy have such a wide range of activities on weekdays? Guan realized that he had underestimated Bai Ling Shu, and he was even more curious about where Bai Ling Shu would take him. Liya said before that the white spirit rat is known as the treasure hunting rat. Could it be that it has found the 7th level spiritual tree? Thank you for the generous reward of 1166 starting coins, the generous reward of 500 starting coins, the reward of 100 starting coins for Yengu Piaoxiang, the reward of 100 starting coins for book friend 202212212049104450, and the reward of 100 starting coins for book friend 1210122313286884. Is anyone willing to say something to see how many people are there late at night? Chapter 17, Serving as Valley Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guan did underestimate the range of the white spirit rat's activities. He followed the white spirit rat for more than 10 miles, but the white spirit rat still didn't stop. The further away from Xuangu, the lower his interest became. Although he had been to the outer gate, it was only a route, with Xian Valley as the center and beyond a radius of 20 miles, he felt that there would be danger, even if he was already at the 7th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Fortunately, the white spirit rat did not keep walking. When it was about 20 miles away from Xian Valley, the white spirit rat stopped. This is still a mountainous area, with a small stream flowing down from the mountains. The white spirit mouse stopped by the stream and began to circle. Guan walked over and saw that there were many flowers and plants on both sides of the stream, as well as many stones of different sizes. He grabbed the white spirit rat and then swept away with his right leg. Boom, grass clippings were flying, and stones were splashing everywhere. Guan cleared a large open space with just one sweep of his legs. He looked carefully and saw a square stone slab by the stream. Good guy. Manhole cover. Guan walked to the stone slab and squatted down. There were mysterious patterns carved on the stone slab. He had never seen it before, whether it was words or pictures. He could feel a trace of spiritual energy leaking out from the edge of the stone slab. Perhaps this was the reason why the white spirit rat was able to find this place. The Foundation establishment realm already has spiritual consciousness. Divine consciousness is an invisible and intangible force. When spiritual consciousness is revealed, it is like opening the eyes of the sky and can peer through objects. Guan rarely uses it, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have spiritual consciousness. In fact, you can cultivate spiritual consciousness when you reach the 7th level of Qi training realm. He immediately gathered his consciousness and wanted to penetrate the stone slab and peer into the space below. However, as soon as his consciousness touched the stone slab, it was bounced away by the mysterious force, causing his body to tremble. So strong. Even the consciousness at the 7th level of the Foundation establishment realm cannot penetrate its restrictions. Guan hesitated. With such a powerful restriction, could there be a huge danger hidden underneath? There is spiritual energy surging inside. Either they are cultivating some kind of heavenly material or earthly treasure, or someone is retreating down there. No. Don't be reckless. Observe for a while first. Guan let go of the white spirit rat, and then moved the surrounding stones and weeds to cover the mysterious slate. After completely covering the slate, he grabbed the white spirit rat and turned back to the valley. The white spirit rat squeaked, but he ignored it. After returning to Xian Valley, Guan did not mention this matter to anyone, as if he had never left the valley. In the evenings that followed, in addition to carrying out daily tasks, Guan would also go near the stone slab to observe. Night after night, the cover around the slab showed no sign of being moved. In addition, Guan discovered that Wu Xian would go to the mountains and forests every night. Not knowing what he was looking for, he did not expose Wu Xian, but his intuition told him that Wu Xian's identity was not simple. A person at the 2nd level of the Qi training realm can have a lifespan of more than 300 years, probably because he has practiced some kind of miraculous skill. Guan had used his spiritual consciousness to observe the practice of Wu Xian, but he didn't see anything special about it. It looked like a normal practice of absorbing qi. Just like that, the hot summer passed. Xian Valley was gradually covered with pale yellow color. Guan opened up 17 gardens in the surrounding mountains and forests. The workload increased and Xuan and others had to patrol every day. This evening, Jindan found Guan in motion with his eyes for Guan to follow. The master and apprentice walked towards the mountain peak to the north. Guan looked at Jindan's back with a complicated mood. Jindan's lifespan has dropped again, and his age is the same as his current lifespan, which means he is about to die. Although he was tricked by Jindan did pay a lot for him. When people are about to die, he will inevitably feel a little sentimental. He tried to convince himself not to be sad. What he pursues is the path to immortality and immortality. He will experience many life, separation and death in the future, and he will get used to it sooner or later. Of course, the premise is that he can survive forever. Wu Xian, who was watering the water, saw Guan and his two figures, and he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He silently wrote down the direction the two of them were going. There must be something mysterious about that mountain forest. After entering the forest, Jindan said, "I will take you to the entrance to the underground. This place cannot be told to anyone else, including your junior brothers and junior sisters. They may be close to you today, but once they leave the Medicine Valley in the future, after experiencing it outside, they will become strangers." Guan didn't refute. He had always known this. As long as Ogawa and others do not give up their goal of becoming outer disciples, they will part ways sooner or later. Guan hesitated for a moment and asked, "Master, were you a member of Qianqiu Pavilion from the beginning, or were you selected by Qianqiu Pavilion later?" Qing Xuandan's steps were heavier than before, and he replied, "My experience as a teacher is the same as yours, and my identity is inherited from my teacher." Guan was silent. He suddenly felt that Qing Xiandan was also a pitiful person. "After I did something to help master, I can't take off this identity, but I don't regret it as a teacher." After hearing the master's words, Guan hesitated to speak. "He hasn't done anything yet, can he go ashore?" Qing Xiandan began to talk about his experience with his master. In his words, his master had a weird temper, sometimes severe, sometimes jumpy, like a child. In his words, his master is like an old child who has not grown up. They walked all the way to the back of the mountain, and Qing Xiandan stopped in front of a mountain wall covered with moss and grass vines. "Master, is the master alive or dead now?" Guan couldn't help but ask. He thought of the stone slab he had been paying attention to. The stone slab was not far away from Xian Valley. The owner of Xian Valley was a demon spy. He had reason to suspect that the stone slab was left by Qing Xuandan's master. Qing Xiandan replied. He said goodbye and left before he passed away. "I will follow his example. I will leave tomorrow. Everything in this medicine valley is in your hands." Guan frowned. He was not thinking about Qing Xiandan, but his master. In other words, Qing Xuandan's master might still be alive. Qing Xiandan took out a compass from his sleeve. He pushed away a piece of grass vine on the mountain wall, found a groove, and then pressed the compass on the groove. As he injected his spiritual power into it, the compass began to tremble and burst out a faint light. Guan clearly felt that Qing Xuandan's breath became weaker. He couldn't help but worry that Qing Xiandan would suddenly die here. The mountain wall began to tremble. The sound was not loud, and soon, a hole appeared in the mountain wall. Guan had to bow his head to enter. Qing Xiandan said, "Go in. Your master is waiting for you outside." Guan hesitated and said, "Master, give me the compass. I will go in after you leave." Qing Xiandan smiled, then took down the compass and handed it to Guan. A stone door appeared in the cave entrance on the mountain wall, blocking the cave entrance again. It was tightly closed and looked very intact. It didn't look like there was a cave entrance at all. Qing Xiandan turned and walked down the mountain, and Guan followed. The underground space has its own complete array. If you want to plant some spiritual herbs and flowers that you don't want others to know about, you can choose the bottom. Qing Xiandan said softly, as if explaining his last wishes. Guan listened carefully, and he was also very conflicted. He was grateful for what Qing Xiandan did for him, but he always had a sense of precaution in his heart. Under the end, you can't relax. Anyway, Qing Xiandan is going to die, so wait until he dies before you relax. Guan will burn incense to Qing Xiandan every year in the future, and then respect him. The way down the mountain was very slow. Qing Xuandan's voice was very subtle. He told everything underground. Guan listened carefully. There were many details, which didn't seem fake. When they arrived at the Medicine Valley, it was already dark. Qing Xiandan said the last sentence to Guan, "Life is a long road. Sometimes mediocre talent is a good thing. You can do what you want." Guan watched him walk back to the attic. When he closed the door, Guan still stood there and looked at it, wondering what he was thinking. After standing for half an hour, Guan walked towards his own courtyard. The junior brothers were practicing in their own rooms, and the courtyard was very quiet. That night, Guan had been practicing. When it was almost dawn, he heard Qing Xuandan's footsteps. He walked to the window and watched Qing Xiandan go downstairs. Qing Xiandan staggered and walked very slowly. He didn't look in Guan's direction. After going downstairs, he walked directly to the entrance of the valley. Guan watched his back disappear at the entrance of the valley, but still didn't leave the window. When the sun rose from the east mountain, the first ray of sunlight in the morning passed over the top of the mountain and shone on Guan, lengthening his shadow. When Xiaochuan, Lu Jiujia, Yi Lan, and Wu Xian woke up one after another, they all felt that the atmosphere in Medicine Valley was not right. They soon found out that something was wrong. In the past, the senior brother would take them to practice at this time. The bodybuilding exercise called Eagle Takeoff was indeed mysterious. Guan, who was not afraid of wind and rain, did not take them to practice today. It was not until noon that Guan appeared and gathered them together, announcing that Qing Xiandan had left. From today on, he was the master of Medicine Valley. Xiao Chuan and the other two were a little excited and asked where Qing Xiandan had gone. Since Li Ye left, Qing Xiandan became gentle and treated his disciples very well, so the disciples had a very good impression of him. Only Wu Xian was not deeply touched. After half an hour of commotion, the junior brothers and sisters finally dispersed. Guan came to the top of the mountain and looked at the direction where Qing Xiandan left from a distance. After he could no longer see Qing Xiandan, he came to Qing Xuandan's house. Qing Xuandan's furnace was still there, and there were many things on the table next to it, including storage bags, letters, many keys, and even a jar of spiritual flowers. He picked up the letter and read it. The content was very simple. Master only knows that you love to pick flowers and plants. Before leaving, I will leave you a 5th level tiger blood flower for you to pick as a farewell gift. Guan smiled and picked up the storage bag. He was most interested in this thing. How could a cultivator not have a storage bag? In this way, he began to check the legacy left by Qing Xiandan. It was not until the evening that Guan left Qing Xuandan's attic. There was a purple cloth bag on his waist, which was Qing Xuandan's storage bag. He walked towards the northern peak and came to the mountain wall where the underground entrance was located. He took out a compass from the storage bag and pressed it into the groove on the mountain wall. Accompanied by a low roar, a cave appeared in front of him. Guan took down the compass, then lowered his head and walked into the cave entrance. After only 5 steps, the cave passage suddenly became wider, and at the same time the cave entrance began to close. Guan's life as the Valley Master is about to begin. Guan, fellow Taoists, this is my first day as the Valley Master. Can you vote for me to be the decision-maker? Chapter 18, Myriad Poisons, 7,000 Years of Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the cave entrance was completely closed, Guan continued to walk along the tunnel. With the 7th level spiritual consciousness of the foundation building realm, Guan walked as if in the daytime, without any obstacles, and the tunnel became wider and wider, as if there was no end. Guan was even more curious about Qing Xuandan's master. What kind of strange person could build such a huge underground tunnel? The tunnel meandered downwards, and after walking for more than 10 miles, Guan still hadn't reached the end. He could now be sure that the place under the stone slab was connected to this underground tunnel. A gust of spiritual wind came from the tunnel in front, blowing on Guan's face, making him feel refreshed. The tunnel in front began to light up, and he saw crystal stones of different colors inlaid on the cave wall. Guan felt it carefully, and found that they were not spiritual stones, which disappointed him greatly. If they were all spiritual stones, he would have made a fortune. Guan thought as he moved forward. His senses were always tense. Although Qing Xiandan had been very nice to him until the end, he didn't dare to be careless when he thought of Qing Xuandan's methods against Meng Lang. What if Qing Xiandan was acting? After walking for several miles, Guan saw that the cave in front of him became very bright, and he heard the sound of water. The cave entrance is here. Guan touched it carefully. He came to the cave entrance and looked at the underground space in front of him. His eyes widened. It's really rich. Guan muttered to himself, with surprise in his eyes. Following his gaze, there was a vast underground space in front of him, which was several times larger than Xian Valley. From the ground to the ceiling, it was more than 100 feet away. A giant tree over 100 meters high stood in it. Its trunk required more than a dozen people to hug it. The branches and leaves were not numerous, and it bore lantern-like fruits. These fruits were crystal clear and glowed with blue light. Under the tree is a lush grassland, and next to it is a 2-meter-wide underground river. Just at the edge of the underground space, against the mountain wall, Taixuan tree, 7th level 245/9999/87600, the maximum lifespan is 87,000. The current lifespan is nearly 10,000. When Guan saw this prompt, he suddenly had the urge to pull up the tree, but he restrained himself. According to Qing Xiandan, this 7th level spiritual tree is the key to the underground formation. It presides over the entire formation, allowing other natural treasures to grow freely, and the spiritual energy gathered by those natural treasures will activate the formation, and then feed back to the 7th level spiritual tree. By pulling out the Taixuan tree, Guan lost a planting site with great potential. At the same time, this place can also be used as his cave. The formation set up by Master Jindan is very rich. If you practice and break through here, the movement will not be transmitted. Guan glanced around and saw dozens of distinctive stone statues inlaid on the cave walls in all directions. There were special runes between the stone statues, which were mysterious. He stepped out of the cave entrance. As soon as he came in, he caught a glimpse of a stone tablet standing next to him, with 4 words engraved on it, Yuanying Cave Heaven. Guan took a look and continued to walk into the cave heaven. Along the way, he explored frantically. The 3rd and 4th level spiritual herbs and flowers were everywhere. The closer to the Qianqiu tree, the higher the grade of the herbs, which dazzled him. With such a large treasury hidden, Jindan couldn't build a foundation. Guan didn't know whether to sympathize with Jindan's poor aptitude or his inadequate alchemy skills. Even if his alchemy skills were not good enough, he could sell some herbs in exchange for spiritual stones, or ask the alchemists of Taixuan Sect to help him make pills. In Guan's opinion, if a sect like Taixuan Sect really needed resources, it shouldn't be difficult to produce a cultivator in the foundation building realm. Of course, there is another possibility, that is, Jindan is afraid that his identity will be exposed. Guan walked to the Qianqiu tree, and standing under the tree, he could feel the vast atmosphere and vitality of the Qianqiu tree even more. He circled the Qianqiu tree, and he saw that there was more than one cave entrance in the 8th scenery cave heaven, a total of 8 cave entrances. He suspected that one of the cave entrances would be connected to the stone slab he had found before. He had no idea of exploring other cave entrances for the time being. He turned around, then took out the Baichao Lu from the storage bag and began to refer to them one by one. If it is ripe, just pick it directly. Some of the herbs picked can be taken to the outer gate to exchange for more high-level seeds for continuous development. Guan was excited just thinking about it. Half an hour passed quickly, and Guan had picked more than 133rd level herbs, madly harvesting more than 900 lifespans, making his total lifespan leap over the 5,000-year mark. This identity of a spy of the magic way is worth it. Guan was in high spirits. There were many herbs planted in the 8th scenery cave heaven. He had only harvested 1/10 of them, and the herbs he had harvested were of the lowest grade. From now on, this would be his cave residence, his secret base. Just as Guan was about to bend down to pick the next herb, he suddenly heard a noise and immediately turned around, looking at a cave entrance in the distance. The cave entrance was dark and scary. Guan moved to the side. The grass was not full of herbs, but also ordinary weeds. He suspected that there would be a battle next, so he had to move so as not to affect his herbs. That was his life. Guan walked towards the underground river, his eyes fixed on the cave entrance. Soon, footsteps and heavy breathing were heard from the cave entrance, as if a wild beast was about to rush out. A foot stepped out of the darkness, and when Guan saw the true face of the person in the cave clearly, he couldn't help but frown. It turned out to be Meng Lang. At this moment, Meng Lang had disheveled hair, ragged clothes, bare feet, blood streaks on his neck, and his face was even redder, as if he had been burned. His eyes were full of bloodshot, and white air was still coming out of his mouth. Roar! Meng Lang roared at Guan and rushed towards him. His speed was very fast, getting closer and closer to Guan. Guan did not retreat but rushed forward. The distance between the two sides quickly shortened, splashing grass debris along the way. Meng Lang jumped up and wanted to pounce on Guan, but Guan turned his body to the side and hit his abdomen with a knee, knocking him back directly. Guan frowned even more tightly, and his right leg was a little numb. Good guy. How did Meng Lang become so hard? Guan felt that the greedy and angry demons were not as hard as him. Although he did not use all his strength and did not use his spiritual power, he could roughly judge. The reason why he held back was to see if Meng Lang could still survive. He shook his right leg and rushed towards Meng Lang again. Meng Lang fell on the grass, but he seemed to feel no pain. He immediately got up and rushed towards Guan. Guan put his right foot in front, forced his body to stop, and raised his left leg, and poured spiritual power into it, performing the wind-breaking shadow kick. The strong wind rose from the ground, and a series of leg shadows fell on Meng Lang one after another, knocking Meng Lang out again. After landing, he rolled more than 10 times before stopping. His hands and feet were obviously twisted. He wanted to get up, but fell down the next second. and his forehead hit the grass heavily. Guan retracted his legs, and his face showed curiosity. Is Qing Xuandan's medicine so powerful? He has such a strong physique at only the first level, and it feels no less than the greedy demon ghost. How could Qing Xiandan compare to the great cultivator behind the greedy demon ghost? Guan was more and more certain that Qing Xiandan was hiding something, and it was probably related to his master. He walked in front of Meng Lang, looking down at his ferocious body like a demon. He was in a state of hesitation, not knowing how to deal with it. He's dead anyway, why should I care about his identity and life? Guan's eyes flickered, and the grass and dust around his feet began to slowly roll up, which meant that he was practicing, at this time. Guan saw a corner of a book exposed in Meng Lang's arms. He immediately reached out and used his spiritual power to pull it out from the air, and the book quickly flew into his hands. Wan Gu Xian Gong. Guan whispered. He simply flipped through it. This is a practice method, and it is still a fragment. There is an obvious content gap on the last page. In addition to the previous practice method, there are 5 kinds of Gu techniques recorded in the back, each of which has a picture. He compared them and finally found the Gu technique that Meng Lang was infected with. Flame Corpse Gu. Those who are poisoned by Gu will have flames in their bodies will be as hard as deep rocks, and their strength will be immense. There is no medicine to save them, no technique to cure them, until they are crushed to pieces. After Guan finished reading, he looked at Meng Lang with sympathy in his eyes. How pitiful. The method of curbing the flame corpse Gu is recorded in the Myriad Gu mysterious art. It only needs to cover its 7 orifices to prevent the Gu worm from swallowing spiritual energy, so that the Gu worm will fall into a state of suspended animation and the Gu body can no longer move. He immediately sealed Meng Lang's 7 orifices with mud, and then he stood up and looked at the cave entrance where Meng Lang came from. He did not go to explore immediately, but put the Myriad Gu mysterious art into the storage bag and turned around to continue picking herbs. Even if Qing Xuandan's master was still alive, the other party did not attack him, a cultivator in the Qi training realm, either because he had no intention of killing him or because he could not move. In this case, why should he alarm the snake? The longer the time, the better it will be for Guan. Half an hour later, Guan left Yuanying cave heaven with satisfaction. His lifespan had reached an astonishing 7,000 years. He harvested all the 3rd-level herbs that could be harvested. Next, it was time to sow seeds. It would take many more years for the new seeds to mature. After the 3rd-level herbs were harvested, it was time to harvest the 4th-level herbs. In order to prevent the ecological environment of the formation from being destroyed, Guan did not harvest all the mature herbs in one go. He harvested some and planted some. This was a sustainable and effective benign development. Moreover, even if the herbs were mature, they could be left behind. The longer they lived, the more life they could take away. Of course, there was a critical point, and Guan was still observing. The next morning, Guan, the new leader of Xian Valley, walked out of the room early. As soon as he came out, he urged his junior brothers to come out. After hearing Xiaochuan's response, he walked toward Yilan's courtyard again. "Junior sister, it's time to come out," Guan shouted. "Okay, senior brother." Yilan replied quickly, more actively than his junior brothers. Not long after, everyone stood in front of Guan. Guan glanced at them and said with a smile, "Congratulations, you will become uncles in the future. I will recruit miscellaneous disciples, and they will be my disciples and your nephews." As soon as these words came out, everyone was excited and rushed to discuss the future. No one mentioned Qing Xiandan. It was not that they were unkind and ungrateful. This was what they had agreed to privately. They did not mention Qing Xiandan in the past month. Guan encouraged them a few words and began to lead his junior brothers and sisters to practice exercises to stretch their muscles. After that, he had to go to Yuanying cave to plant flowers and plants. Life is going to be busy. Thanks to Cigarette Integrity for rewarding 500 starting coins, Lilong for rewarding 100 starting coins, and Zhaohua Jinlian for rewarding 100 starting coins. Updated at midnight and 12 o'clock every day, a total of 6,000 words. Don't chase me for a burst of updates. I have only published the book for a week, and I will burst after it is put on the shelves. Remember to click the page to the end after reading it every day to see how many people you are chasing. Chapter 19, Life Barrier, Breakthrough to the Jindan Realm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Yuanying cave, the fruit of the Qianqiu tree shines on the cave wall, and the ripples of the underground river are also reflected on the wall, making the cave quiet and beautiful. Xuan walked under the Qianqiu tree, turned around and put his hands on his waist, looking at the area he had planted. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. You get what you sow. Cultivating immortals and farming is the romance he pursues. Fighting, killing, intrigue, all stay away from him. Xuan was self-satisfied, and his eyes shifted. He wanted to build a loft in the Yuanying cave, where he could hide and rest occasionally in the future. He is still young now, but in 50 or 60 years, he can learn Jindan, let the eldest disciple take charge of all affairs, and enjoy life himself, but it is too early to be the eldest disciple. After all, the Medicine Valley is his base, and he must find the right person. It is not whoever becomes his disciple first can take charge of all affairs. Many plans came to Xuan's mind. First of all, he has to train a deputy valley master. Xuan is worth considering. He has poor qualifications and is honest, but he is too harsh in his words and treatment of others. Yuanying will go to the outer sect sooner or later, so he is directly excluded. Yilan, no, let her go out early, so as not to destroy his Tao heart. As for Qian, let's see. We have to recruit more disciples. Xuan looked up while thinking. He was very curious about the fruit of the Qianqiu tree. Some natural treasures are in the shape of fruits. Will picking the fruit of the Qianqiu tree alone increase lifespan? Do it when you think of it. Xuan jumped up, raised his hand to grab a fruit and pulled it off. He landed on the grass, then admired the fruit in his hand. The fruit was as big as a pumpkin. He weighed it and estimated that it weighed 7 or 8 pounds. Xuan took out a piece of spirit paper from the storage bag and wrapped the long stem at the top of the fruit to prevent the spiritual energy from leaking out and losing nutrition. These are all money. About 10 breaths later, a line of words popped up in front of him. You successfully seized the Qianqiu fruit, level 6, 85 years of lifespan. Wow. 85 years of lifespan. Xuan's eyes changed when he looked at the Qianqiu tree. This is a money tree. You must not pull it out. You must let it die well and support it in the future. Xuan became excited. He threw the Qianqiu fruit in his hand into the storage bag, and then counted the Qianqiu tree. There were 16 Qianqiu fruits as big as before, and the other smaller ones could not be moved. He immediately started to act. Some Qianqiu fruits were located very high, and he had to climb up the tree. At this moment, he was extremely eager for the sword controlling technique. The Foundation establishment realm could not fly directly in the air, and he had no other means of flying or hanging in the air. After a long struggle, Xuan finally picked all 16 Qianqiu fruits successfully, and he gained a total of 1,360 years of lifespan. His total lifespan has reached 8,400 years. Getting closer and closer to the 10,000 mark. Forget it. Do it in one go. After reaching 10,000 years, you can cultivate and then explore the other 7 cave entrances. After checking clearly, you can eliminate all potential dangers, so that you can live peacefully. Xuan started to implement the plan after he made it. There are many medicinal herbs in the 8th scenery cave heaven. He stared at his attribute panel and picked them. As long as his lifespan reached 10,000, he would stop. Half an hour later, a line of prompts appeared in front of Xuan. Your lifespan has exceeded 10,000 years for the first time, and the lifespan barrier function is turned on. Lifespan barrier, consume lifespan, open the lifespan barrier, can block all prying, perception, and deduction, and the lifespan consumed is determined according to your cultivation breath and the spiritual energy required. Lifespan barrier. Seeing the 4 words consume lifespan, Xuan frowned. Isn't this going to kill him? But after reading the explanation behind it, he was immediately surprised. He made such a big fuss when he broke through the foundation building realm before. What will happen when he breaks through a higher realm? If this goes on, sooner or later, the entire Taixuan Sect will be alarmed. Xuan was worried about this. Now, he is not afraid. This function is too sneaky. I like it. Guan walked towards the cave entrance while laughing. When he breaks through the Jindan realm, he will go to explore other cave entrances. Although there are formations in the 8th scenery cave heaven, there may be dangers in the cave heaven, so he decided to break through outside, just in time to try the life barrier. No matter what is hidden in the dark, he will not be angry. When Guan returned to the Medicine Valley, it was already late at night. He had moved to the attic where Jindan lived. There were still many secret books, alchemy books, and strange books hidden here. He would read them one by one in the future. After entering the house, Guan came to a wooden cabinet. This wooden cabinet was made of special wood, which could retain the spiritual energy of natural materials and treasures as much as possible. This was what Jindan had explained before. There were several such wooden cabinets. He took out all the Qianqiu fruits and put them in the wooden cabinet. He suddenly thought of something, took out another Qianqiu fruit, and then put it on the table. He sat at the table, took out the secret history of Qianqiu Pavilion from his arms, and looked at it quietly, until the second half of the night. The white spirit mouse finally came back. It ran all the way to Guan's shoulder, its small eyes fixed on the Qianqiu fruit on the table. Guan gently picked it up, put it on the table, and waited for it to move. The white spirit mouse walked to the Qianqiu fruit, sniffed the smell, then climbed onto the Qianqiu fruit and began to nibble gently. Guan didn't know what the Qianqiu fruit was good for. There were no natural treasures above the 5th level in the herbal records, so he could only try the white spirit mouse. He let the white spirit mouse choose for himself. This was a spiritual beast. If the Qianqiu fruit was poisonous, it should be able to smell it. If it can't smell it, Guan will bury it with honor. The Qianqiu fruit is 10 times bigger than the Bailing rat, and it is very difficult for it to chew it, so Guan didn't help it. It's boring to wait, so just break through tonight. Guan stood up, then left the attic, walked out of Xian Valley unnoticed, all the way west, over mountains and ridges, and traveled nearly 20 miles. He first jumped to the top of a big tree, looked around, and after making sure there were no figures and breath of cultivators, he came to a piece of grass in the mountains to meditate. I haven't Krypton life for a long time. I'm looking forward to it. With the life barrier, Guan can rest assured to evolve his cultivation this time. Let's invest 1,000 years to test the water first. Guan thought with great wealth, sitting on a life of 10,000 years, what's the big deal about investing 1,000 years at a time? Just sprinkle some water. He invested 1,000 years of life in his cultivation to evolve and practice. You have been practicing Qi for 30 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 8th level of the foundation building realm. You have been practicing Qi for 100 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 9th level of the foundation building realm. You have been practicing Qi for 150 years, and you have used the great attainments of the divine tree pure yang art to forcibly impact the Jindan realm and began to overcome the tribulation. You did not survive the minor tribulation and failed to overcome the tribulation. You have been practicing Qi for 200 years, and you have used the great attainments of the divine tree pure yang art to forcibly impact the Jindan realm and began to overcome the tribulation. You did not survive the minor tribulation and failed to overcome the tribulation. You have been practicing Qi for 450 years, and you have used the great attainments of the divine tree pure yang art to forcefully attack the Jindan realm and begin to overcome the tribulation. You successfully survive the minor tribulation, condense the golden elixir, and enter the Jindan realm. You have been cultivating for 500 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 2nd level of the Jindan realm. You have been cultivating for 600 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 3rd level of the Jindan realm. You have been cultivating for 720 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 4th level of the Jindan realm. You have been cultivating for 850 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 5th level of the Jindan realm. You have been cultivating for 1,000 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 6th level of the Jindan realm. Lines of prompts popped up in front of Guan. When he saw the 6 previous tribulation failures, Guan almost suffocated. This was too dark. Is tribulation so difficult? As the last line of prompts fell, Guan's body began to move on its own. He immediately felt that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was about to riot, and he quickly opened the life barrier. Open the life barrier. Life has been consumed, 0 years. this line of prompts hung directly in front of his eyes, and when the spiritual energy of heaven and earth poured into his body, the number 0 jumped directly to 1. I hope the consumption is not too great. Guan prayed silently, as the majestic spiritual energy of heaven and earth poured into his body crazily. He only felt that his whole body was unobstructed, with an indescribable sense of refreshment. This time, he did not move when he broke through, so he did not feel any pain. With him as the center, waves of air appeared on the ground, rushing from all directions and drilling into his body. An invisible air shield with a diameter of nearly 5 meters could be vaguely seen. Guan looked outside the barrier, and there was no wind or waves outside the barrier. The flowers, plants and trees were all very calm, obviously not affected by him. He was immediately curious, why was there no impact? Soon, he understood. Once the barrier was opened, he absorbed the underground spiritual energy when he practiced again. Now he was completely relieved. Before long, his cultivation reached the 9th level of the foundation building realm, and the barrier consumed 5 years of life, which made him feel a little distressed. This thing is too expensive. This reminded him of the experience of playing some mobile games in his previous life. One word, dark. Just as Guan was secretly complaining, he suddenly saw a light in the sky above the distant mountains and forests. He squinted and vaguely saw the scene of the cultivators fighting. 10 miles away, above the mountains and forests, Yuanying swung his sword and slashed out sword energy, like a gust of wind sweeping the forest, sweeping away, and the leaves fluttered. Liya, dressed in black, stood on the top of the tree, raised his sword to block in front of him, and a strong energy burst out from his body, forming a light golden bell shadow, resisting all of Yuanying's sword energy. Yuanying's black hair was blown wildly by the strong wind. He showed a ferocious and unruly smile. He laughed loudly. Liya, is this all you have? With you, you still want to fight with His Royal Highness the 4th Prince? Can you enter the inner gate alive? Liya's face was grim, and his eyes glanced in the direction of Xian Valley. No. If this goes on, it will alarm the people in Yao Valley. Liya didn't want to bring trouble to Guan and others. He immediately pushed the sword, shook off the sword energy, and then flew in the opposite direction of Xian Valley. Yuanying chased closely, and the two stepped on the sword and disappeared quickly at the end of the night sky. Guan didn't see the monks fighting in the distance in the life barrier, but fortunately the lights disappeared. He didn't dare to relax. The life barrier couldn't be peeped, sensed, or deduced, but it didn't say that it would completely disappear. What if someone accidentally broke in? Time passed quickly under Guan's uneasy mood. The golden elixir began to condense in his body. When the lifespan consumed by the life barrier exceeds 50 years, he succeeds in forming a pill. Although the consumption of the life barrier is very large, it is within the acceptable range for Guan. Before starting, he was worried whether this thing would be too tricky and drain him all at once. Now his worries have vanished. He has another idea. He has reached the 6th level of the Jindan realm in 1,000 years. Should he continue to spend money? Guan, brothers, please give me monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. By the way, do you want to spend money or not? Chapter 20, Spiritual Root Transformation, Yuanying Realm Cultivator. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The night sky was silent, with occasional birds chirping, and the forest was silent in the darkness. Guan sat in meditation in the life barrier, admiring the moonlight. The moon tonight was beautiful, just like his mood. His cultivation had reached the 4th level of the Jindan realm, and he was getting closer and closer to the end. He was going to keep Krypton until he broke through the Yuanying realm. And then Krypton, another unique skill, because the wind and shadow leg could no longer satisfy him. How could a Yuanying realm master use legs? It had to be a sword. Guan decided to favor the 7 swords of the Li family. He had the cultivation of the Yuanying realm, and he had to have the attack means of a Yuanying realm, well, assuming that Xuandan's master was a Yuanying realm master. Guan had to overestimate his opponent as much as possible, so that the probability of defeat would be reduced. The monks who had fought before never came back after leaving, which made Guan completely relieved. He was already a Jindan realm monk, and he was able to walk sideways in the outer gate area. Even if someone suddenly broke in, he couldn't withstand his kick. The 5th level of Jindan realm. Guan's spiritual consciousness became stronger as his cultivation level increased again. The Jindan realm and the Foundation Establishment realm are completely different, the spiritual power is very different, and the spiritual consciousness is also very different. Guan's spiritual consciousness can now be condensed together to form a powerful impact. Only when he reached the Jindan realm did he feel like a cultivator. If the Jindan realm is like this, how much stronger must the Yuanying realm be? Guan couldn't wait to get his life. He was forced to wait until his cultivation level reached the 6th level of the Jindan realm before he called up the attribute panel. His eyes were involuntarily attracted by the spiritual roots. He had tried to improve his spiritual roots, but it was a waste of time, which caused him psychological trauma. He was afraid that this was a bottomless pit, so he transferred his life to other directions, and deducing the exercises could also improve the spiritual root qualifications. Now he is strong enough and has a long life, so he should try to improve his spiritual roots again. After a while, when Guan's cultivation level stopped increasing, he directly invested 2,000 years of life in his spiritual roots. You have devoted 2,000 years of life to the evolution of your spiritual roots. You have comprehended the nature of heaven and earth for 100 years, and your 5 element spiritual roots have improved their perception. You have comprehended the nature of heaven and earth for 200 years, and your 5 element spiritual roots have improved their perception. You have comprehended the nature of heaven and earth for 1,000 years, and finally captured a trace of the true meaning of heaven and earth. Your spiritual roots have been baptized by heaven and earth, and the 5 element spiritual roots have begun to transform. All of your 5 element spiritual roots have transformed into second-rate mortal bodies, among which wood spiritual roots are more prominent. You have comprehended the nature of heaven and earth for 1,200 years, and your 5 element spiritual roots have improved their perception. You have comprehended the nature of heaven and earth for 2,000 years, and finally captured a trace of the true meaning of heaven and earth. At the same time, you have comprehended the rivers and veins of the earth. Your spiritual roots have been baptized by heaven and earth, and the 5 element spiritual roots have begun to transform. All of your 5 element spiritual roots have transformed into first-rate mortal bodies, among which wood spiritual roots and earth spiritual roots are more prominent. Lines of prompts appeared in front of Guan one after another. When he saw the 5 elements prompts in front of him, his heart began to bleed. I was careless. This thing is really a bottomless pit. Seeing the end, all 5 spiritual roots have reached the first-class state, which makes him feel better, but he still feels distressed. After all, the previous comprehension of the divine wood pure yang gong also made his wood spiritual root reach the first-class aptitude. You can't think like this. You should think that the divine wood pure yang gong took 1,000 years to make one spiritual root reach the first-class aptitude. If you want all 5 spiritual roots to reach the first-class aptitude, it will take at least 5,000 years. Then the question is, why doesn't he practice the other 4 attributes of the exercises? As a person, you have to try to walk out the most perfect way. When Guan summed up himself, the earth's spiritual energy surged again. This time it was not to improve his cultivation, but to temper his muscles and bones. Pain. Guan felt unprecedented pain, and he could only grit his teeth to bear it. In order to divert his attention, he began to think about the attribute panel. In this way, the spiritual root aptitude is the most difficult to improve. It is normal to think about it. The spiritual root aptitude is equivalent to the maximum lifespan, and the cultivation is the current lifespan. Breaking the limit is the most difficult. Acquired efforts are never harder than breaking the destiny set by heaven. This is why Taixuan Sect treats geniuses so well. Qianqiu, who has 2 spiritual roots, is much more important to Taixuan Sect than a Jindan-level cultivator. For ordinary people, the fewer spiritual roots, the higher the aptitude. Assuming that the total talent value represented by a person's spiritual roots is 100, the 2 spiritual roots can each be divided into 50. But if there are 5 spiritual roots, the talent value of each spiritual root is only 20. Comprehensiveness sometimes represents mediocrity. Guan is different now. He improves his spiritual root aptitude, which is equivalent to raising the total talent value from 100. It's a pity that the spiritual root attributes cannot be used alone to improve the cultivation. Now other spiritual roots are not very helpful for him to practice Shenmu Chunyang Gong. so his cultivation speed has increased a little, but not much. However, he noticed that the prefix of the first-class aptitude in the prompt is mortal body. There will be no holy body and spiritual body, right? Guan was thinking wildly. At the same time, the consumption rate of the life barrier began to slow down. From the beginning of the breakthrough, 134 years of life have been consumed. As his spiritual root aptitude continued to improve, Guan clearly felt that the spiritual energy of various attributes became clearer, which also changed his perception of the entire world. The pain was being replaced by a sense of novelty. For a long time, Guan's body no longer absorbed spiritual energy, and the spiritual roots in the attribute panel also changed to first-class 5-element spiritual roots. He did not get up, but invested 2,000 years of life in cultivation. The failure of the tribulation left him with a shadow, so he decided to work hard to create a miracle. If he invested 1,000 years of life and was stuck at the 9th level of the Jindan realm, he would have to vomit blood. This is really possible. After failing the tribulation, you have to waste 50 years before you can continue to attack. It's too real. In reality, if you fail to pass the tribulation, you will either die or be injured. It really takes time to recover. Moreover, the tribulation of the Yuanying realm must be more difficult, and the number of failures is likely to be more. Let's start. You have been practicing Qi for 100 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 7th level of the Jindan realm. You have been practicing Qi for 200 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 8th level of the Jindan realm. You have been practicing Qi for 300 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 9th level of the Jindan realm. You have been practicing Qi for 400 years, and you have used the great attainments of the Shenmu Chunyang Gong to forcibly impact the Yuanying realm and began to transcend the tribulation. You did not survive the 3 mysterious heavenly tribulations and failed to transcend the tribulation. You have been practicing Qi for 1,500 years, and you have used the great attainments of the Shenmu Chunyang Gong to forcibly impact the Yuanying realm and began to transcend the tribulation. You did not survive the 3 mysterious heavenly tribulations and failed to transcend the tribulation. You have been practicing Qi for 1,600 years, and you have used the great attainments of the Shenmu Chunyang Gong to forcibly impact the Yuanying realm and began to transcend the tribulation. You finally survived the 3 mysterious heavenly tribulations, transcended the tribulation successfully, and promoted to the Yuanying realm. You have been practicing Qi for 1,800 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 2nd level of the Yuanying realm. You have been practicing Qi for 2,000 years, and your cultivation has broken through to the 3rd level of the Yuanying realm. Crap. Failed 12 times. When Guan saw that he failed to pass the tribulation 6 times, his heart sank to the bottom of the valley. When he failed 10 times, his eyes went black. Fortunately, he finally succeeded in breaking through to the nascent soul realm. Is the nascent soul realm really that difficult to break through? Guan collapsed and thought. He realized why the lifespan of evolutionary cultivation is greater than the actual consumption. Evolutionary cultivation is equivalent to naked cultivation. Normal cultivation will take pills and use formations to gather spiritual energy. These two can also help to pass the tribulation, not to mention the wonderful effects of some rare treasures. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth surged again, and the consumption rate of the life barrier began to accelerate. Guan calmed down and began to enjoy the improvement of his cultivation. The rising sun swept across the earth, and the Xian Valley gradually became brighter. Guan stood on the top of the mountain, overlooking the autumn forest. His robe fluttered, and the sun shone on him. He seemed to be able to become an immortal at any time. He has condensed the nascent soul and become a true nascent soul cultivator. In order to praise himself, he raised his surface level by 1 level to the 4th level of Qi training, and then he would move up 1 level every year and stay at the 9th level of Qi training, so that he would not be recruited. He could not help but call up his attribute panel again to check. Name, Guan. Lifespan, 22/4502. Spiritual roots, first class 5-element spiritual roots. Wood and earth attributes are more prominent, can be put into lifespan evolution practice. Cultivation. Yuanying realm 3rd level, can be put into lifespan evolution practice. Kung Fu, fire control art, not yet practiced. Shenmu pure yang gong, mastered. Long Jin Shin Yuan Gong, mastered, alchemy, beginning to see the way, can be put into lifespan evolution practice. Unique skills, Huangfeng Juing leg, comprehensive, Li family 7 swords, not yet practiced, 8 direction steps, not yet practiced, can be put into lifespan evolution practice. Guan plans to Krypton Li family 7 swords again, and then continue to save lifespan until it reaches the 100,000 mark. Now, he needs to rest for a few days to calm his excited heart. With his nascent soul realm cultivation, he can definitely go to Taixuan Sect to receive a good position and treatment, but when he thought that Taixuan Sect would send him out to slay demons and fight against the devil, and there might even be internal fighting, he calmed down this distracting thought. Only by not forgetting the original intention can you achieve the right result. No one can help him, he will hide in Xian Valley to the end. He can occasionally look for natural treasures, but he must not move his development focus away from Xian Valley. A higher status may make his life grow faster and faster, but the risk factor is also proportional. Anyway, he has no enemies, so why worry? Guan turned around and walked down the mountain. The nascent soul realm can already fly in the air, but he didn't do that. He chose to walk down the mountain. When he arrived in the Medicine Valley, Xuan and others came out one after another. Big brother, you went up the mountain so early. Yilan greeted Guan. I don't know if it was her illusion, she inexplicably felt that the big brother today became more handsome. Guan smiled and said, go check on the seeds. You will lead them to practice today. Yilan nodded in agreement. She wanted to ask more, but Guan had already walked towards the attic. Not far away, Wu Xian looked at Guan's figure and thought to himself, there must be a mystery in the forest. I will definitely find it. Guan walked up the stairs and pushed the door open. As soon as he came in, he saw the white spirit mouse lying on the table. The whole body of the mouse was like a balloon, and the Qianqiu fruit had disappeared. It was still breathing, not dead. He immediately cast a lifespan probe on the white spirit mouse. White spirit mouse, first level 12/120/180, It actually increased its lifespan by 70 years. The original lifespan of the white spirit mouse was only 50 years. The medicinal effect of Qianqiu fruit is so strong. Guan immediately walked to the wooden cabinet, took out a Qianqiu fruit, and began to eat it, thanks to Jiqiu Dizizi for rewarding Guan with 1,000 starting coins, becoming Guan's #1 brother. As always, I'm asking for monthly votes. This book will survive. Just look at the title, don't worry.